Chapter 81 Masteress. Chapter 81. Masteress. In the room, Yi Futian followed behind Hua Jiu as he watched her with a glint in his eye. Pretty nice environment, said Hua Jiu with a smile after checking out the room. Yeah, perfect for resting, Yi Futian said, nodding. Hua Jiu walked to the bed and took off her outerwear, revealing her curvaceous figure. She then turned to look at Yi Futian. Smiling, she asked him, "Do I look good?" Yi Futian blinked. Why did this feel like déjà vu? Yi Futian had a bad feeling about what was about to happen but nodded anyway. Very good, he said. Then I'll rest and you can keep looking, Hua Jiu chuckled mischievously. She took off her shoes by the bed and laid down, hands behind her head. She continued to chuckle at Yi Futian. That's my bed, I should be able to sleep on it too, right? Yi Futian watched the beautiful girl in front of his very eyes. How could she tease him like this? Just you try, said Hua Jiu. She was still smiling but Yi Futian looked sad and pitiful. Fox, what you're doing is wrong. Hua Jiu stretched her captivating body out on the bed. Her every movement was torture for Yi Futian. I'm sleeping, she said. Hua Jiu turned away from Yi Futian and pulled the blanket over her body. This time around, Yi Futian had nothing to look at, just a hint of her curvy figure under the blanket. Yi Futian did not know whether to laugh or to cry. He was definitely going to get payback on this tempting vixen. With light steps, Yi Futian walked to the side of the bed and sat down on the floor. Softly, he spoke, "Fox, do you feel extra warm sleeping here with me?" Hua Jiu did not reply. I used too much energy in battle today. I want to lie down and rest but the floor is too cold. Why don't I get in bed? Yi Futian said, full of confidence. Still no reply. Don't worry, I won't touch you, I'll just lay next to you, he continued. Okay, since you're not answering I'll take that as silent consent, said Yi Futian. Yi Futian kept talking to himself. He got up off the ground and sat on the bed. Hua Jiu made no movements to stop him. He had finally succeeded in getting onto the bed next to her. So comfy, he said. A moment later, he spoke again, his eyes were twinkling. Wow, it's so fragrant. Fox, you smell so nice. Darn it, it feels kind of cold. It would be so nice to have a blanket. Yi Futian was still talking to himself. As he spoke, he tugged lightly at the covers and gently pulled it on himself. The two of them were not under the same covers. Right now, Hua Jiu, who still had her back to Yi Futian, was already flushed red. Her beautiful eyes kept blinking. She could feel the warmth radiating from his body. How is it still cold under the covers? Are you cold, Fox? I should just hold you, he said. Hua Jiu felt his arm wrap around her waist gently, sending a shiver down her back. Didn't he say that he was just going to lay down next to her and not touch her? He was cold. Fox, why are you shaking? Is it because you're too cold? I should hold you tighter then, Yi Futian said. Hua Jiu felt the arm around her waist pulling her in further. The red in her face spread to her ears, her neck. She was so shy. Stop bullying me, she spoke softly. Hua Jiu's soft voice reached Yi Futian's ears and he smiled. He held on to the girl in his arms tightly, taking in her sweet scent. His nose was in her hair. He closed his eyes to savor this moment. Quietly, he said, I wouldn't have the heart to bully you. Wait for me to marry you. Okay, I'll wait for you, Hua Jiu responded, nodding slowly. Her shaking body calmed and she slipped into a deep sleep with a smile on her face. She felt safe in his arms. Fox, I will definitely marry you, Yi Futian thought to himself while he held her warm body against his own. While the loving couple shared this sweet moment, the happenings at the school of Emperor Star spread wildly. In a short while, all of Donghai Academy knew of the story. Yi Futian, the disciple of the Gukan Devil, brutally defeated the disciple of the Art Saint, Zhou Mu. Then he crashed the school of the Emperor Star and joined hands with Yu Sheng to defeat two 8-starred Glory Plane cultivators from the school of the Treasury Star. After all that, Yi Futian announced to everyone that Donghai Academy's top beauty, Hua Jiu, was his girlfriend. The couple revealed their relationship hand in hand. Mu Yongshuan, an 8-starred Glory Plane cultivator in the school of the Emperor Star, got jealous and insulted Hua Jieyu, angering Yi Futian. Thus, Yi Futian challenged Mu Yongxuan to a battle to the death, and eventually defeated him with ease. Finally, with the decree of the minister in hand, Yi Futian slaughtered Mu Yongxuan right in front of the headmaster of the Emperor Star School. The 7 schools of Donghai Academy were stirred up in absolute shock. Everyone was in disbelief. They had no idea that boy genius Yi Futian, who made a name in Donghai Academy for himself by fighting, was this powerful. In a couple of years, he may even be more powerful than the Gukan devil was in the past. It was now dusk. Yi Futian's room was quiet and warm. In her sleep, Hua Jieyu had unknowingly turned over to face Yi Futian. Her soft body laid quietly in his arms. At this time, she opened her eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered as she observed Yi Futian. "Aren't you going to get up?" "No, I'm going to continue sleeping until the sun rises tomorrow," Yi Futian said with a smile. "You wish. You rested during the day, so you have to cultivate during the night," said Hua Jieyu, escaping his embrace. She got out from under the covers and sat up on the bed. Her hair was messy, but it only made her more enchanting. She was so beautiful that it hurt to look at her. "Fox, I could just eat you up," Yi Futian muttered. Hua Jieyu blinked and flushed red. Smiling, she said, "You can try." "I'm really going to do it," said Yi Futian. He tried to make a move, his hands ready to grab Hua Jieyu. A slender leg swept toward him and Yi Futian flipped off the bed. "Are you trying to murder your husband?" Yi Futian sat up on the ground and asked her sadly. Hua Jieyu got off the bed and chuckled at him. She seemed proud of her actions. "Yi Futian," called a voice from outside. It was Yi Qingshan. Yi Futian was upset to be interrupted at this moment. "I'm sleeping," he replied. "Yi Futian, hurry out." She continued to shout from outside his room. Yi Futian reluctantly stood up. What did this girl want from him? "Hua Jieyu, are you here?" Another voice rang out from outside. Hua Jieyu froze. Then, she began to panic. She looked at Yi Futian and began to straighten out her hair and put on her outerwear. "Who is that?" Yi Futian whispered to Hua Jieyu. "My mother," Hua Jieyu replied in the softest manner. Yi Futian turned to stone and jumped when he processed what she had just said. Oh no, this was bad. Moments later, the two of them left the room. Outside, they saw a few people. Headmaster Yi Shang was also here. He stood not far away from the rest. Standing in front of Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu was a beautiful woman. She looked to be around 30 years old. Her whole being radiated elegance. One look at her and Yi Futian knew who she was. No wonder Hua Jieyu looked the way she did. This woman in front of him must have been an extreme beauty in her youth. Her beauty plus Hua Fengliu's good looks, it was no surprise that their daughter was such a beauty. To this day, Yi Futian had not found a man whose looks could compare to that of Hua Fengliu, other than himself. "Mother," Hua Jieyu spoke softly. Yi Futian glared at Yi Qingshan. Why hadn't she notified him earlier? "Masteress," Yi Futian greeted the beautiful woman in front of him. Nando Wenyan eyed her daughter's messy hair then looked at Yi Futian. It was difficult to determine her thoughts through her eyes because they remained emotionless. To Yi Futian, it was like waiting to be sentenced. To his master's wife, Fox's mother, Yi Futian could not act out no matter how arrogant he was. "Qingshan, let's go," Yi Shang called out to his daughter. Yi Qingshan and Yu Sheng bother nodded and left with the headmaster. The only people left standing outside were Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, Nando Wenyan, and Nando Wenshan, who stood behind his sister. "How is your master doing?" Nando Wenyan suddenly opened her mouth to speak. She didn't question Yi Futian about what happened in the room but instead asked about Hua Fengliu. Her voice was crisp and comfortable. "Master is doing well in the Gukan Gardens. He just misses you, Masteress," answered Yi Futian. "He has Tang Lan to take care of him. So of course, he's doing well," said Nando Wenyan. She sounded so calm. Yi Futian could feel sweat drip down his forehead. Was this how all jealous women acted? Master initially had no intentions of staying, but now that it is inconvenient for him to move around by himself, he needs someone to take care of him. Plus, Ms. Tang Lan was very adamant about him staying, so he had no choice but to accept her offer. The first day we arrived in the city of Donghai, Master brought me to the Nando Palace. He pointed at the inside and told me that Masteress lived there and that he wanted to go in to see you, Yi Futian explained. Nando Wenyan observed Yi Futian for a while, and from the look in his eyes, she decided that he did not seem to be lying. After that, Yi Futian noticed that the look in her eyes had softened. Nando Wenyan looked at Hua Jiu and asked her, "You like him?" "Yes," nodded Hua Jiu. "Your father and I were the same in our youth, but you know how that ended. If something happens in the future, will you regret this?" Nando Wenyan asked her daughter. The young woman shook her head. "Silly child." Nando Wenyan's voice was soft and gentle. She sighed and turned to Yi Futian. "You took advantage of the challenge against the school of the Emperor Star to announce your relationship with Hua Jiu. Did you do it on purpose so the Nando family would see?" "Masteress, I had no other choice. Even if I didn't admit it, the Nando family probably already guessed as much," Yi Futian answered. "You're even more arrogant than your master," said Nando Wenyan. "I'm taking Jiu home." "Mother." Hua Jiu looked at her mother. Nando Wenyan ignored her and continued to look at Yi Futian. "Come to our place for a visit tomorrow." Yi Futian was frozen in shock upon hearing her words. Quickly, he broke out into a smile. "Thank you, Masteress." Hua Jiu was just as surprised. It seemed like her mother did not object to their relationship. "Hey kid, you're pretty gifted," Nando Wenyan said suddenly. He walked closer to the three and smiled at Yi Futian. "Senior, was it you who tried to warn me that day at the Luo Palace?" asked Yi Futian. After eliminating the chance that it was Vice Headmaster Han Mo of the Emperor Star School, Yi Futian always wondered who could have possibly warned him that day. Seeing Nando Wenyan now, he had a realization. "Why, have you antagonized everyone in the Nando family?" "I'm Hua Jiu's blood uncle," Nando Wenyan said while staring at Yi Futian. "Oh," Yi Futian held in a smile and nodded his head. Then, he said rather loudly, "Greetings, uncle." "Shameless," Nando Wenyan reprimanded him jokingly. Afterward, the Nando siblings led Hua Jiu away. As they were leaving, Hua Jiu kept looking back at Yi Futian. She did not want to leave him. Chapter 82 Betrothal. Chapter 82, Betrothal. After Hua Jiu left, Yi Shang and the others returned to the yard. "Going to Nando tomorrow?" Yi Shang asked. "Were you eavesdropping?" Yi Futian looked up in shock and asked. "You were speaking so loudly." "There was no need to eavesdrop," Yi Shang said indifferently. Yi Futian made a face at this. "I'll take you there tomorrow," Yi Shang said. Yi Futian finally smiled. "Headmaster, you really do see me as a disciple. Don't overthink. Your master stole one of my students who still won't return to the right path. Yu Sheng listens to you too, so you have to live well for now," Yi Shang said and then left. Yi Futian was speechless. He knew that Yi Shang thought highly of him but refused to admit it. He had a bad temper as well. Thankfully, Yi Futian was not his son-in-law. "You're really going?" Yi Qingshan asked, looking at him. She felt like it would lead to trouble. "Even Masteress told me to go. She won't try to hurt me. Anyway, I have Minister Zuo's decree too. Even if the Nando clan wants to kill me, they won't do it inside their home and your father will protect me on the way. Nothing bad will happen." Yi Futian was very clear. Minister Zuo had said that he was favored by the ruler of Nando Nation. Minister Hua controlled the military but was equal to him. Even though he was kind to Yi Futian, someone so powerful was definitely intimidating. When he came to Donghai Academy last time, the big figures of the 7 schools all had to bow down to him. Then, "Be careful," Yi Qingshan told him. "Okay." Yi Futian nodded. Yu Sheng said, "I'm going with you. I'm going to go see my girl." "What are you going for?" "Stay here and look after your own girl." Yi Futian glared at him. Yu Sheng glanced at Yi Qingshan. He scratched his head and said, "Oh." When Yi Futian said, "Girl," Yi Qingshan saw that Yu Sheng glanced at her. She blushed and ran away. "Yu Sheng, it seems like you've got everything down. Nice." Yi Futian looked at his friend, laughing. "No." Yu Sheng smiled a little and turned away. Looking at his backside, Yi Futian smiled. He couldn't believe this guy knew how to be shy. The next day, he arrived at the Nando clan. This was a lord mansion with centuries of history. It felt somber. Centuries ago, the pioneer of Nando Nation had walked out of here. He was a true king, but after him, none of the Nando descendants could rival him in glory, and they finally lost the throne. Two figures appeared outside. Yi Shang personally saw Yi Futian to the gate, and he said, "I will wait for you outside." As the headmaster of the School of the Finance Star, he had nothing to do with the Nando clan, so he clearly could not go in. He only came because he was worried Yi Futian would run into danger on the way. He no longer had to worry after Yi Futian stepped into Nando's territory. Yi Futian nodded lightly and walked forward. He gazed at the mansion, feeling butterflies in his stomach. The first day he arrived at Donghai City, his teacher had brought him here and told him he must conquer it in the future. He had to help Hua Fengliu enter confidently to bring his wife out. However, neither of them expected that he would become involved with the clan so early due to his relationship with Hua Jiu. Smiling, Yi Futian lifted his feet and walked toward the mansion. The guards seemed to know who he was. They let him enter without stopping him. The path led straight into the mansion. Yi Futian advanced forward. Figures flashed in the mansion, seemingly to go report his entrance. After a short while, Yi Futian realized that there were many people around him. They were all young and glared at Yi Futian with animosity. Some were also curious. They all knew that this guy before them was the disciple of the Qin Devil. His teacher had snatched Nando Wenyan. Now, he had snatched Hua Jiu, the most skilled woman of the Nando clan, unmatchable in both talent and beauty. Under this situation, even if they knew how brilliant Yi Futian was, many of the Nando clan still hated him. Of course, some girls also thought deep down that he truly was handsome. Hua Jiu probably didn't like him just for his talent. In the mansion, a beautiful figure ran over. Seeing Yi Futian, her eyes brightened. She stopped before Yi Futian and said softly, "You're here." "Yeah." Yi Futian smiled. Hua Jiu smiled sweetly as well. She reached out and took Yi Futian's hand. She was telling the Nando clan her attitude and determination. Yi Futian was touched. He knew how much courage the action required. He grasped the hand tightly and they walked forward together. This scene made many uncomfortable and unhappy. This B** starred, they thought, he's holding hands with our most talented woman. It was not just the younger generation either. As they walked forward, many seniors looked unhappy as well. However, no one stopped them. Apparently, they had already walked hand in hand at the school of the Emperor Star. Stopping them now was meaningless. They would let the clan leader decide. Hua Jiu brought Yi Futian to a courtyard. Nando Wenyan and Nando Wenshan were both there. They had prepared a meal. It was clear that inviting Yi Futian today was Nando Wenyan's idea. "Masteress, uncle," Yi Futian greeted them. "Come sit down," Nando Wenshan said with a smile. Yi Futian nodded. He and Hua Jiu sat before the table. "I heard that they all know now," Nando Wenyan asked Hua Jiu. "Yes." The way here was filled with people. Hua Jiu nodded lightly. "Let's eat," Nando Wenyan said. Her motive was just that. Invite Yi Futian here to express her attitude. In the past, she had been forcefully separate from Hua Fengliu. Now, her daughter was about to step onto the same path, but she hoped the ending would be different. Hua Jiu put some food onto Yi Futian's plate. Yi Futian smiled warmly and tasted the food. Then he looked up at Nando Wenyan and said, "Your cooking is so good." Nando Wenyan glanced at Yi Futian. She said, "I heard from Jiu that her father really likes you. After seeing you, I understand why. You two are the same type of person. Perhaps he sees himself in you." Nando Wenshan smiled too. He said, "Indeed, he and Fengliu both have faces that women can't reject. No wonder both Jiu and her mother have fallen so hard." "Professor is much better than me," Yi Futian said, lying against his conscience. He had to preserve Hua Fengliu's ego before his wife. "No, you're wilder than he was," Nando Wenyan said. The boy was not even 17 years old, and yet, he had already announced to the entire academy that Hua Jiu was his. This was not something an average person would do. Wenyan knew how talented her daughter was. The average person would be intimidated, but instead, Yi Futian had called her his. He had even killed the prodigy of the school of the Emperor Star in front of everyone. "His talent is better too," Nando Wenchen added. Yi Futian, thank you. Yi Futian glanced up in shock. You don't know how Wenyan had been living these years, Wenchen said with a smile. She's like a zombie every day. When she heard that Hua Fenglio had returned to Donghai City, she finally came back to life. After seeing you at the Luo Palace, I guessed that you have a special relationship with Jie. I told her and she started paying attention to you. Yesterday was the first time she stepped out of the mansion all these years. Yi Futian gazed at Nando Wenyan. He could guess how deep her relationship with Hua Fenglio was. Masteress, I'll treat Fox well in the future. I'll have my master come get you too, Yi Futian said. Where did you get the nickname, Fox, from? Nando Wenyan glared. Yi Futian chuckled awkwardly. Hua Jieyu also glared at him and said, Mother, the first time this mean guy saw me was when I first entered Qingzhou Academy. He said that this doll looked so sinful at 12 years old that I'll definitely become a fox in a few years. The two Nando siblings were taken aback. Nando Wenchen smiled after a while and said, You were already so inappropriate at 12. You truly are better than your professor. I wasn't wrong, Yi Futian muttered awkwardly. He gave Hua Jieyu a look. The girl smiled at him mischievously. Wenyan, I heard you're better now, a voice traveled from outside the courtyard. Then they could hear various footsteps walk toward here. Nando Wenyan looked in that direction. After a bit, a group of people came in. At the head was the clan leader, Nando Tai. Nando Ku stood beside him. He studied Yi Futian with a sharp expression. Uncle. Nando Wenchen rose and greeted him. Nando Tai nodded. He scanned Yi Futian and said with a smile, You must be Yi Futian, Hua Fenglio's disciple. Greetings, senior. Yi Futian stood up and said. No matter what, he could not be impolite. The heroes come from the youths. I heard that you are unrivaled at the school of the Emperor Star and are even favored by Minister Zuo. You have surpassed your master, Nando Tai said with a smile. Do not mind the grudges of the past generation. I heard that Hua Fenglio isn't well these days. If there's the chance, please tell him to come visit. You and Jieyu are good friends so you can come visit in the future as well. I'm sure Wenyan will like it. Yi Futian was a little shocked. How could the Nando clan be so agreeable? But also, what did he mean by saying Yi Futian and Jieyu were good friends? Uncle, Nando Wenyan stood up and said to Nando Tai, Jieyu is almost 17 now and has someone she likes. They are both in love. I am planning on betrothing Jieyu to Futian and arranging this marriage. Uncle, what do you think? Chapter 83 They have arrived. Chapter 83. They have arrived. Upon hearing these words, Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian both looked at Nando Wenyan in surprise. Masteress wants to betroth Hua Jieyu to me. Yi Futian's heart warmed at the thought of this. Today was only his second encounter with Nando Wenyan, but he also understood that the main reasons behind her decision were because of Hua Fenglio as well as Hua Jieyu's feelings for himself. Yi Futian's gifts did not play an important role in Nando Wenyan's decision-making. Nando Wenchen was also shocked but recovered quickly because he understood that his sister had been living with the regrets of her past and did not wish for her daughter to go down the same path. Now that Yi Futian revealed that he was highly capable and even had Minister Zuo on his side, the Nando clan would definitely take Yi Futian into consideration for Hua Jieyu. Nando Wenyan wanted to take this opportunity to get their betrothal settled in case anything changed in the future. When she extended her invitation to Yi Futian the day before, she had already made up her mind. Nando Tai and the rest stared at Nando Wenyan collectively. Someone spoke. Wenyan, don't you think you're making a rash decision? It's true that he presented his capabilities at Donghai Academy, but what of it? It could simply mean that the people of the school of the Emperor Star are too weak. There are tons of highly gifted young men within the Nando clan. Why should we allow Hua Jieyu to be betrothed to him? Asked another person. Everyone took their turn in making comments on the subject. Many people had a thing or two to say in disapproval of betrothing the most outstanding young woman of the Nando clan to the disciple of the Gukan Devil. Wenyan, you heard the people. Jieyu is still young. There is no rush to make such a decision, said Nando Tai. I'm simply saying they should be engaged. I wasn't suggesting that they should be married right away, replied Nando Wenyan. She stood firm on her decision. To be honest, it would not be strange for a girl of Hua Jieyu's age to be married anyway. This is still too hasty, said Nando Tai, shaking his head. Jeyu's father is Futian's master, so obviously he would not object. I am Jeyu's mother and I also support this. Jeyu and Futian are dedicated to each other and are deeply in love. So, why is this a hasty decision? Questioned Nando Wenyan. She did not sound too happy. Nando Tai's expression darkened. He stared at Nando Wenyan and said, so, what you're saying is, Hua Jeyu's marriage has nothing to do with the Nando clan. Nando Wenyan retorted, and what uncle is insinuating is that Jeyu's marriage should be decided by the Nando clan and has nothing to do with me, her own mother. In the past, because my parents have already passed, uncle made decisions for me. Now, even though I'm still well and alive, uncle wants to make decisions for my daughter. Nando Wenyan knew a thing or two about the clan's plan on setting her up in a marriage of convenience all those years ago. She was not going to allow them to do the same to her daughter. Wenyan, you're out of line, an elder reprimanded. Is this the attitude you use when speaking to the clan leader? Miss Wenyan, is it simply because he is the disciple of the Gukan devil? Asked Nando Ku, are you trying to have your daughter fulfill the dreams you were unable to? Yi Futian looked at Nando Ku. This was the man who stalked Hua Jeyu to the Gukan gardens. He had also told Yi Futian that he could not be compared to the art saint's disciple, Zhou Mu. Watch your mouth. This is not a place for you to speak, Nando Wenyan said to Nando Ku. I understand that Miss Wenyan is of nobility. You carry the blood of your ancestors. You have inherited the royal bloodline. The same can be said for Miss Jeyu. It is because of this that her marriage cannot be determined so hastily. Even though the Gukan devil's disciple is incredibly gifted, it doesn't mean anything. There are tons of genius cultivators out there. There are many just in the Nando clan, but it seems that Miss Wenyan never took that into consideration, said Nando Ku. Realization flashed through Yi Futian's eyes. From Nando Ku's words, Yi Futian predicted that Nando Wenyan was the direct descendant of the person who established the Nando nation. To say that they have inherited the royal bloodline meant that Nando Wenyan and Hua Jeyu were actually the princesses of the Nando clan. What you said is correct. The battle at Donghai Academy doesn't mean anything. I am willing to test his true abilities. At this moment, a member of the Nando clan stepped forward. The young man looked at Yi Futian. How does a battle sound? Yi Futian glanced at the young man and chose to ignore him. What do you mean by this? The young man glared at Yi Futian. Step down, ordered Nando Tai. The young man retreated into the group. Nando Tai spoke again. Wenyan, it is exactly because your parents left you at an early age that I was forced to take over as the clan leader. I have the responsibility to take care of you guys. I know that you hold a grudge against me for what happened in the past, but we can't change what has already happened. I am willing to let go of the past and might even think about allowing you to reunite with Hua Fengliu in a couple of years, but regarding Jeyu's marriage, will you allow me to make the decision? You're only now considering Hua Fengliu? Asked Nando Wenyan. Her demeanor was cold. Hua Jeyu was incredibly gifted and carried the hopes and dreams of the entire Nando clan. Plus, Yi Futian, who was the Gukan devil's disciple, also possessed incredible gifts. He also had Minister Zuo to back him up. Nando Tai had to know that some things could not be changed. Some things are inevitable. The only way future events could be altered is if Nando Tai broke off relations with Hua Jeyu and at the same time, had Yi Futian killed. However, it was obvious that Nando Tai could not do either of these things. I will make the decisions regarding Hua Jeyu's marriage. Nando Wenyan was not going to give up. She was not going to let the clan sacrifice her daughter as they had done to her. How presumptuous, yelled Nando Tai. More and more people of the Nando clan gathered behind their leader. At this moment, Yi Futian realized how lonely Hua Jeyu and her family were among the huge Nando clan. Their family used to be the most distinguished bloodline but was now the most isolated. Masteress, maybe we should give the clan leader a little more time to think about this matter. Jeyu and I aren't in a rush, Yi Futian spoke. In this situation, it was not a good idea for Nando Wenyan to go against the entire clan. What Yi Futian needed was time. Nando Wenyan averted her attention to Yi Futian. He bowed to her and said, Masteress, Jeyu, I'm going to leave now. I'll come visit again when I get the chance. He then turned to Nando Tai and the rest of the group. Excuse me. Yi Futian began to make his way out. The clan made way for him. One of the younger clan members mocked Yi Futian. He's probably just afraid to lose. He won't live up to his reputation. I heard that he does what he wants at the academy, but looking at him now, he doesn't look all that mighty, someone else chimed in. Yi Futian smiled but chose to ignore them. Fighting someone from the Nando clan would only add fuel to the fire. After Yi Futian left, Nando Wenyan and Nando Tai were still in a standoff. Wenyan, I think you should take some time to cool your head, said Nando Tai. There's no need. This is my final decision. I'm not going to have a change of heart, she replied calmly. Talk some sense into your younger sister, Nando Tai said to Nando Wenyan. Then, he turned to leave. The crowd dispersed. As Yi Futian made his way to the exit of the Nando Palace, people either challenged him to battle or insulted him. Everyone had an opinion about Yi Futian. He ignored all of them and left with Yi Shang. After Nando Tai led the crowd away, Nando Wenyan frowned and said quietly, in the past, he tried to use me to get close to Minister Hua, but now even though Yi Futian is in Minister Zuo's good graces, he won't let Hua Jiu marry him. Is it purely because he is Hua Fengliu's disciple? Nando Wenyan also frowned. There did seem to be some contradicting points in Nando Tai's decision. Mother, there is something that I forgot to tell you, said Hua Jiu. The other day, the clan leader invited Minister Zuo over to tell me my fortune. The minister agreed to his request and said that I was destined to be an empress. Tell your fortune. Nando Wenyan was shocked. Minister Zuo is an astrologer. Yes. Hua Jiu nodded her head. Nando Wenyan stood frozen in place. She then turned to her brother and asked, what do you think of this? So, this was the reason why His Majesty has such great trust in Minister Zuo, Nando Wenyan murmured to himself. I once read an ancient text about astrologers. They are extremely rare and possess the ability to tell a person's fortune. However, this ability is highly dependent on the astrologer's own powers. Based on Minister Zuo's powers, by empress, he could have meant a title of courtesy or a queen. Besides, astrologers can tell fortunes but cannot see the future. A told fortune can be changed. What Nando Wenyan did not know was that Minister Zuo did have doubts on the day he told Hua Jiu's fortune. However, he only told her that she was destined to be an empress after she had asked about Yi Futian. In reality, the fortune Hua Jiu was told consisted of a biased prediction from Minister Zuo. Hua Jiu nodded. She also believed that her fortune could be changed. After Yi Futian returned to Donghai Academy, he put himself on lockdown to focus on cultivating. Even after he had demonstrated his gifts and also brought out the decree of the minister, the Nando family clan was still conflicted on allowing him to be with Hua Jiu. Since things have come to this, the only thing Yi Futian could do was to become even stronger. He was going to become so powerful that he wouldn't even need to seek the clan's approval. When spring arrived next year, he would head to Nando Nation's imperial city and attend the Tingfeng banquet with Hua Jiu. They were going to heal Hua Fengliu. The days passed but Yi Futian has not set foot outside of the school of the finance star. His powers were increasing day by day. Meanwhile, Donghai Academy had actually become more peaceful since Yi Futian's battle. The schools of the Emperor Star and the Treasury Star stopped picking fights with the school of the Finance Star. That day, the two schools were completely humiliated by Yi Futian. They did not have the nerve to look for trouble at the Finance Star school anymore. However, everyone in Donghai Academy already knew that the school of the Emperor Star was not going to let this go so easily. Perhaps this was the peace before the storm. Countless rumors circulated around the campus. They said that the school of the Emperor Star wanted to control all of Donghai Academy and that the 7 schools were no longer going to stand together. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the year. It has almost been 1 year since Yi Futian arrived in the city of Donghai. He has already broken into the 6-starred glory plane in both martial arts and the art of sorcery. But Yi Futian did not slow down his pace in cultivation. The glory plane was still too weak for the Nando Nation standards. He hoped that he would be able to reach the Dharma plane quickly and be able to find his place in the Nando Nation. While Yi Futian cultivated quietly, All officials from the schools of the Emperor Star and the Finance Star arrived at the entrance of Donghai Academy, including the two headmasters. Everyone at the academy was frantically trying to guess who they were welcoming. What kind of people would warrant such a big welcome? Finally, a group of people traveling on beasts arrived. This scene was even more powerful and shocking than the time Minister Zuo arrived. Chapter 84 Gathering of Heroes. Chapter 84 Gathering of Heroes. The group of figures who descended in Donghai Academy had a strong presence. At the front were a middle-aged man and a young man. The middle-aged man wore a silvery white robe that dazzled. His eyes were spirited and filled with an imposing manner when he scanned the crowd. He was like an important figure who could sentence others to death at a whim. He was awe-inspiring just standing there. The youth had an even more impressive aura. His eyes were like stars and there was a sharpness to him as if no one could get in his way. Minister Hua, everyone greeted and bowed. Even the headmasters of the School of the Emperor Star and School of the Treasury Star bowed. The middle-aged man was Minister Hua of the Nando Kingdom. He looked at everyone with his imposing gaze. Then he pointed at the youth and said, "This is His Highness, the Crown Prince." Everyone's heart shuddered. They had felt something when they saw how extraordinary the youth was. Hearing Minister Hua, they realized that this was the legendary Crown Prince of Nando Kingdom. The emperor had many children but he had chosen his heir early on. No prince could fight with Luo Junlin for the throne. His name was Junlin. It meant that the king would rule over the world. This seemed like a disrespectful name but it had been given by the emperor personally. One could see how much the emperor liked this prince. Everyone in Nando Kingdom knew that Luo Junlin would be the next ruler. No one doubted this. Crown Prince, everyone greeted and bowed reverently. No one expected that the Crown Prince would come with Minister Hua. If that was the case, everything was determined already. Luo Junlin nodded casually. He strode forward and the men of the two schools made way for him. "Junior, let's go," Minister Hua walked up and said to the headmaster of the School of the Emperor Star. "Senior, after you," the headmaster said politely. Then the group entered Donghai Academy. News of Crown Prince Luo Junlin's arrival quickly spread throughout the academy. The powerful students of all 7 schools went to meet him. The School of the Finance Star had conflicts with the Emperor Star but Yi Shang went too. He was only a headmaster, after all, and had to greet the Crown Prince and Minister Hua. It caused a ripple through Donghai Academy. After the peace and quiet of the past days, had the storm finally come? The School of the Emperor Star and School of the Treasury Star had been low-key these past months. It seemed that they'd been waiting for this step and had planned this early on. All the headmasters left the School of the Emperor Star after bowing to the Crown Prince and returned to their own schools. Then another news spread throughout the academy. Minister Hua had said that he wanted to see the cultivation progress of the students. He ordered Donghai Academy to hold an assembly of the 7 schools 3 days later. He and the Crown Prince would observe it. This news caused an uproar in Donghai Academy. Everyone could feel that there was an ulterior motive behind the assembly. It might have something to do with the recent rumors. The School of the Emperor Star was unsatisfied with all 7 schools being equals. In the School of the Finance Star, Yi Futian was practicing his instrument in his courtyard. Not only would the piece help his musicality, it also cultivated his mind. He had locked himself up these past months to cultivate without disturbances. Now, Yi Shang came over. When Yi Futian finished the piece, he looked up and saw that Yi Shang had furrowed brows. He asked, "Headmaster, did something happen?" "Yes." Yi Shang nodded. The School of the Finance Star might not exist anymore. Yi Futian stared but the man continued, "Minister Hua and the Crown Prince came to Donghai Academy earlier. They went directly to the School of the Emperor Star and ordered that we hold an assembly in 3 days. With Minister Hua and Luo Junlin's support, no one can stop the changes in the academy. What do you plan to do?" Yi Futian didn't try comforting him. Since Yi Shang said this, it meant that he was powerless. Donghai Academy's 7 schools were created to be different clans, Yi Shang said. However, this is less and less clear. Now, they are all becoming like true schools. The School of the Finance Star is especially like this but the School of the Emperor Star seems to want to return to clans. If this is the case, I naturally will not stay. I'm telling you this because if the Emperor Star takes control, you would be unable to stay as well. But if you leave, Hanmo might deal with you. Yi Futian understood this. He'd wanted to cultivate quietly and go to the Imperial City next spring. He didn't expect this sudden change of Donghai Academy. It's okay. I have you and Minister Zuo's minister decree. There's nothing to be scared of. As long as I don't look for trouble, Minister Hua can't hurt me himself, right? Yi Futian chuckled. Minister Hua wouldn't ruin the relationship with Minister Zuo without a reason. You're clever. Cultivate here and do not worry about the assembly. Don't participate either, Yi Shang advised. Yi Futian nodded. He knew that the assembly was not the time for him to show off. News of the assembly of the 7 schools spread throughout Donghai Academy using the shortest time possible. Then it even spread towards Donghai City with terrifying speed. Even many big figures of Donghai City were invited. The school of the Emperor Star stated that they welcomed everyone to come as spectators. This showed the citizens that something big would happen in Donghai Academy. Excitement bubbled through the city. Countless people discussed the event on the streets and in taverns, talking about the legendary Crown Prince. Many wanted to see with their own eyes how amazing the Crown Prince was. Apparently, he had already reached the pinnacle of Dharma and had unparalleled talent. There were also rumors that he had twin spirits and no one in Nando could beat him. He was born to be king, destined to be king. None of the other princes even had the courage to compete with him. They could only try to become close to him and be a lord in the future. No one dared to have any other thoughts unless they wanted to die. One could imagine the furor if someone like him came to Donghai City. The 3 days passed in a blink. That day, the sun shone brightly. Countless people from Donghai City gathered outside the academy to watch the assembly. The big figures had all arrived. Many of them had brought their children too, especially daughters. The reason went without saying. Though the possibility was low, they could become the empress in the future if they caught the crown prince's eyes. He didn't have a wife yet. Lin Shui came too with her father. Stepping into Donghai Academy, she studied the place. He was cultivating here and she wondered how he was doing. Lin Shui didn't know about all the things that had happened. Yi Futian was now infamous in Donghai Academy, but his fame was restricted to the academy. Unless they were like the Nando clan who knew from paying attention to Hua Jieyu, no one knew what had happened. The important figures of Donghai City wouldn't care about a youth of the academy. Are you thinking of him? Xiao He smiled and asked. Shut up. Lin Shui glared with her pretty eyes. He was so handsome at the Luo Palace. Xiao He chuckled while Lin Shui just smiled and nodded. The youth's performance at the Luo Palace was truly eye-catching. Zhou Mu is also cultivating here. I wonder if they'll run into each other, Xiao He said. Zhou Mu. Lin Shui murmured. She wondered if he could defeat Zhou Mu now. But no matter how they are, they can't be compared to the Crown Prince. You're so pretty. Do you think he'll notice you? Xiao He continued. Lin Shui ignored her. She hurried to catch up with her father and continued into the academy. In the other direction, Mu Yunqing and Mu Yunyi were with their father Mu Hong. The man smiled and said, no wonder Donghai Academy is the home of geniuses and talents. It's filled with vitality. How have you two been performing? Pretty good. We're still working hard, Mu Yunqing answered. Good. Mu Hong nodded. The Crown Prince himself is here today. If you have the chance, you two must perform well. Yes, Mu Yunyi said. However, the two siblings looked uncomfortable. Their experiences that year had actually been horrible. It was all due to someone, but they were too embarrassed to tell their father. Back in the day, this academy had many impressive figures. The Art Saint, the Qin Devil, and I all came from here. Feeling nostalgic, Mu Hong smiled, saying, the Art Saint is now renowned in Donghai City while the Qin Devil is disabled. I wonder where he is now and how his disciple is. Thinking of how the Qin Devil had wanted to bring his disciple to him, he smirked. Today was the gathering of the heroes. People like the Art Saint were high above while the Qin Devil was nowhere to be seen. It was a different scene in the school of the Emperor Star. Chief of the East Sea Prefecture, Sha Feng, knelt on the floor while Minister Hua and the Crown Prince sat before him. Usually, Sha Feng would not be like this. However, He was in trouble now and only Minister Hua could save him. Why does Minister Zuo want to kill your son? Minister Hua asked. Because of the Qin Devil's disciple, Sha Feng cried. Back in the day, the art saint had powerfully destroyed the Qin Devil's life spirit. Now, his disciple has returned. He is violent and aggressive, looking down on everyone. Minister Zuo wishes to punish and kill my son, Sha Fan, because he has a conflict with Yi Futian. He vaguely knew the relationship between the art saint and Minister Hua, so he knew what to say. Valued by Minister Zuo, possesses the Minister Decree, and killed a student of the School of the Emperor Star. I'd like to see him, Crown Prince Luo Junlin said. Minister Hua said, you will see him at the assembly. Yes, Luo Junlin nodded. He stood up and said, let's go. Chapter 85 The Assembly of Seven Schools. Chapter 85 The Assembly of Seven Schools. The halls of the seven schools emptied as everyone gathered at the central square of the main Donghai Academy campus. Yi Futian and Yu Sheng were not among them. They remained in their dorm. Just then, Headmaster Yi Shang arrived. He was not alone. Behind him, several people followed. Yi Futian was surprised at the sight but quickly recovered. He walked up to the group with a smile. Master, Ms. Tang Lan, what are you guys doing here? Tang Wan relayed your message to me. Things are about to change drastically at Donghai Academy. We came because we were curious what will become of the academy, answered Tang Lan. Yi Futian had asked Tang Wan to help relay Headmaster Yi Zhang's message to Tang Lan. Tang Lan looked over at Yu Sheng. So, you're my junior brother now. Yu Sheng smiled shyly and greeted her, senior sister. Something felt wrong to Yi Futian. Our relationship has gotten so complicated. Doesn't this mean that Yu Sheng is technically my senior? This won't do. Forget about that. Tang Lan stared at Yi Futian. I heard you've been really cocky since you started attending the academy. You crashed the party at the Luo Palace, beat up Zhou Mu as well as students from the Emperor Star School. You even went to the Nando Palace. Daring fellow. Yi Futian chuckled. It was only a given that Hua Fengliu and Tang Lan kept tabs on everything that happened at Donghai Academy. Did you see your masteress? Hua Fengliu asked. Yes, I did, master. Masteress hasn't forgotten about you, said Yi Futian. After he replied, he felt a chill. He turned to see Tang Lan smiling at him. He shut his mouth immediately. Life was so hard. I'm going to go see your grandmaster, said Hua Fengliu. Yi Futian glanced at Yi Shang and heard him say, the assembly of the seven schools is about to begin. I have to head over now, but I'm sure the school of the Emperor Star is already empty. You can take your master there. Okay. Yi Futian nodded. He stepped forward to put Hua Fengliu on his back. Wind sorcery surrounded and carried them into the sky. In the air, Hua Fengliu questioned Yi Futian again. Your masteress, is she doing well? Yeah, she just misses you. After meeting me, she said that you have a good eye to pick such an outstanding disciple, Yi Futian replied with a smile. He did not tell Hua Fengliu what Nando Wenxian had told him. If Hua Fengliu knew that Nando Wenyan spent the past years like a living corpse, he would definitely be very upset. You've become more thick-skinned in our time apart. Your masteress didn't kick you out the door for acting this way. Hua Fengliu made a light-hearted joke. He was already used to Yi Futian's shamelessness. Something like that could never happen. Before I left, masteress even said she would betroth Hua Jiu to me, said Yi Futian. Really? Asked Hua Fengliu. Master, do you think I would joke about this matter? Hua Fengliu laughed. I believe you. Love me, love my dog. It seems that her feelings for me have remained unchanged. What do you mean, love me, love my dog? Masteress's fondness for me has nothing to do with you. It's because I'm such an outstanding man. What a narcissist you are. Yi Futian had no words for how thick-skinned Hua Fengliu was. Love me, love my dog. Oh please. Shouldn't you already know how narcissistic I can get? Asked Hua Fengliu. Yi Futian could only admit defeat. He said, Master, I don't think I can ever surpass you in this aspect. By this aspect, Yi Futian meant narcissism. Don't underestimate yourself like this. You were able to defeat Zhou Mu, which means that I made the right choice to take you on as my disciple. I do have a good eye. Hua Fengliu laughed softly. It's not easy to get a compliment out of you. So, does this mean you're happy I beat up Zhou Mu? Chuckled Yi Futian. Very happy, answered Hua Fengliu. A huge smile broke out on Yi Futian's face. Although he has yet to make any progress on healing Hua Fengliu, Yi Futian was happy to do at least this much for his master. When Yi Futian and Hua Fengliu reached Elder Qin's residence within the school of the Emperor Star, they could hear the sound of a guqin. He was playing the guqin by himself. Although all 10 of his fingers were calloused, his movements were accurate and clean. The white-haired elder exuded an elegance. Elder Qin did not seem to have noticed them. He continued to play peacefully, completely immersed in the music. The sound of the guqin was gentle and peaceful. Elder Qin stopped stroking the chords and ended his performance. Only then did he turn his attention over to his visitors. He smiled when he saw Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. "Fengliu, you're here," he said. His smile was kind. With Yi Futian supporting him, Hua Fengliu bent his knees and kneeled down on the ground. He began to bow to Elder Qin. His head met the ground harshly. When Hua Fengliu lifted his head, his eyes were red. In a raspy voice, he said, "I have been unfilial to you, master. It has taken me too long to come see you." Hua Fengliu thought back to when he first met his master. Elder Qin used to be so full of life and energy. Even when he had left, the older male did not look as worn as he did now. Hua Fengliu would never have thought that his master would have aged so much when they met again. It seemed that Elder Qin was closing in on the end of his life. "Hua Fengliu, get up." Elder Qin sounded very stern. Hua Fengliu bowed once more before allowing Yi Futian to help him up. Following that, Hua Fengliu said, "Master, I have let you down. I am already satisfied to be able to see my disciple again before I die." "There is no need to speak of such things," said Elder Qin. He was smiling again. "Besides, I am very fond of Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian. These two youngsters are both very good. Yi Futian is even more gifted than you." Hua Fengliu laughed. "This rascal's gifts are all right, but he is too mischievous. I hope he didn't do anything to offend you, master." "There's no way. His personality is better than yours," replied Elder Qin. He looked at Yi Futian and smiled. He continued, "He and Hua Jieyu are well matched. You and Nando Wenyan have to support them. Don't let them walk down the same path as you two." "I understand, master," Hua Fengliu nodded. He eyed Yi Futian, who stood off to the side. When Yi Futian sent a proud smile his way, Hua Fengliu gave him an icy glare in return. "Futian," called Elder Qin, "I am so old now. There are many things I am now unable to do. Regarding your master's injury, I can only count on you." "Don't worry, Grand Master. As long as I'm alive, I will find a way to heal master," said Yi Futian seriously. "Silly child, don't talk about the negative things. You'll live a long, happy life," Elder Qin said to Yi Futian. "Whatever you say, Grand Master," said Yi Futian with a smile. "You also have to take good care of yourself so you can be a witness for the wedding ceremony when Jieyu and I get married." "Yes, yes." He could not stop nodding his head. Elder Qin looked extra happy. "Master, you've probably suffered here at the school of the Emperor Star all these years. Why don't you leave with me?" Hua Fengliu asked. "Oh, Fengliu, I've spent more than half my life here. No matter how this place changes, I will always be a part of this school. I already have one leg in the coffin, where else would I go?" Elder Qin shook his head with a soft smile on his face. "Grand Master, things at Donghai Academy won't be the same after today. Do you really not want to consider leaving?" Yi Futian tried to persuade the elder as well. Hearing his words, Elder Qin looked into the distance. Even though he has not stepped foot outside of the school of the Emperor Star, he knew what was going on in Donghai Academy. He could not help but sigh. At the same time that the three chatted at the school of the Emperor Star, everyone was gathered at the central square of the Donghai Academy campus. It was extremely packed as the surrounding observation decks filled up with people. Officials from the 7 schools sat at the center in front of their respective groups, where they stood out the most. Besides them, representatives from the clans of the city of Donghai were also present. Anyone qualified to sit up front with them definitely had an extraordinary background. But it did not matter who they were because at this moment, almost everyone's attention was focused elsewhere. In the direction where the officials of the Emperor Star School were seated, a figure walked up to the main seat of the assembly. He stood there nonchalantly but exuded the gracefulness of royalty. He took one look into the crowd as if he were overlooking the world. Beside him stood Minister Hua, the headmaster of the School of the Emperor Star, and Chief Shafeng of the East Sea Prefectures. Is that the Crown Prince? He looks like an exceptional young man, born to be emperor. Everyone whispered about Luo Junlin. He possessed an extraordinary aura. An aura so strong, it would feel burdensome to get close to him. The people got up one after another and bowed in his direction. Greetings, Crown Prince. Greetings, Minister Zuo. Luo Junlin watched this scene calmly and spoke, "Sit." He then turned to take his own seat, and only when was he seated everyone took their seats as well. Everyone knew the young man seated at the center of the square was to become the emperor of the Nando nation. He was going to control the world. Not only was Luo Junlin a person of great importance, his aura, his looks, and his gifts were also outstanding. Many of the young women watched him closely, seeming to all be expecting something outrageous. The Crown Prince's aura is so much stronger than that of Zhou Emu's, muttered Xiao He. She stood beside Lin Shui and the rest of the Lin family. The art saint's disciple, Zhou Mu had been the most outstanding young man she had ever seen. The art saint is over there and so is Zhou Mu, Xiao He continued. She was looking in the direction of Vice Headmaster Han Mo. Standing beside him was the art saint and Zhou Mu stood behind his master. However, Lin Shui was looking into the crowd, seemingly in search of something. She could not find the young man she was hoping to see. He was a student of the School of the Finance Star but was not amongst the students seated here. At this moment, seated amongst the officials of the School of the Emperor Star, Vice Headmaster Han Mo stood up. He walked to a spot up ahead and held both of his arms up to the sky. In a split second, everything went quiet. The Crown Prince and Minister Hua have blessed the Academy with their presence today. Donghai Academy has not experienced such great honor in its 300-some years of history. I am sure that what happens here today will be recorded in the history books for the people even 1,000 years from now, Han Mo said loudly. The Crown Prince and Minister Hua have high hope for our academy. So, we would like to take this chance and have students of each school demonstrate their abilities for them here today, during the assembly of the 7 schools. A light flashed through everyone's eyes. They were all conflicted. All those days ago, before Yi Futian defeated the students from the schools of the Emperor Star and the Treasury Star, they constantly picked fights with students of other schools to exert their dominance. But they never thought that their plans could be ruined by Yi Futian. Presently, the School of the Emperor School used the Crown Prince and Minister Hua as an excuse to hold this assembly. Their intentions were no secret to everyone. However, to be able to prove oneself's worth in front of the Crown Prince was a one-in-a-lifetime chance. Some people began to explore the idea. After all, it didn't really matter to ordinary students whether or not the 7 schools of Donghai Academy were separated or united. Chapter 86 Such Big Hatred. Chapter 86. Such Big Hatred. Han Mo gazed at everyone with a smile. After today, he would control Donghai Academy by himself. He continued, of course, because there are many disciples of the academy, everyone will have a chance to demonstrate their abilities. I hope that in the future, the accomplished students will grasp this chance to express their talents. Also, since we wish to show the Prince and Minister Hua our true bearing, there is no need to hold back. Being hurt in battle is inevitable. If you wish to show off your talents today, you must be willing to take on the risks. Han Mo's words caused many expressions to slack. In the past, the duels in Donghai Academy would all end before it went too far. Dying or becoming fatally wounded was never allowed to happen. According to Han Mo, the disciples would go all out today. This way, uncontrollable situations may happen. I won't say more. Next, let's give our time to the disciples of the 7 schools of Donghai Academy. Han Mo smiled and returned to his seat. The place instantly became quiet. There was an empty area in the center of the square. It would be the stage where the Donghai disciples showed off their talents. It was also a battlefield. All were quiet. Then, everyone saw a figure walk out from the School of the Emperor Star. Seeing him, Everyone grew serious. It was Zhou Qing, number 1 of the Dharma rank in Donghai Academy. He slowly walked to the center and halted. He looked up in the direction of the School of the Finance Star. Zhou Qing, School of the Emperor Star, 9-star Glory Plane, challenges any willing Glory Plane disciple of the School of the Finance Star, Zhou Qing said. Many outsiders did not understand the situation, but the people of Donghai Academy understood immediately. He was taking revenge for what Yi Futian had done. However, Yi Futian was not in the School of the Finance Star crowd. He didn't come today. The others looked uncomfortable. Zhou Qing was at the highest level of the Glory Plane. There was nothing brag-worthy of challenging other Glory Plane disciples. However, he'd used the word, any willing, which was a blow to their pride. But barely anyone could beat him at this level. Yu Sheng moved, wanting to go out. He was now in the 6-star Glory Plane and could fight Zhou Qing. However, Yi Shang stopped him. Yu Sheng's attacks and strength were no competition for anyone in the Glory Plane, but he still had flaws. Unlike Yi Futian, who learned all sorts of abilities, Zhou Qing specialized in mind spells and was good at controlling. He could also fly. This was fatal to Yu Sheng. No matter how strong he was, he might not be able to hit the opponent. Once Yu Sheng reached the Dharma state, his abilities would evolve. At that time, he would be able to fly and also cultivate sorcery. As no one taking the challenge, seeing how there was no action, Zhou Qing smiled. At this time, someone walked out of the crowd and came before him. Yang Teng, 9-star Glory Plane, the disciple said. After you. Please. Zhou Qing smirked. He instantly hovered in the air. His eyes became extremely demonic and he flew toward Yang Teng. Yang Teng stomped on the ground and stepped forward. He rushed toward Zhou Qing like lightning and sprang into the air. Zhou Qing's eyes radiated with horrible sharpness. An invisible mind storm fell upon Yang Teng's body, rushing into his brain. Then, he was unable to control himself. His hovering body dropped to the ground. The spectators realized that Zhou Qing could use extremely powerful mind spells to control others' bodies. They shuddered. However, Yang Teng was also powerful. He roared and forcefully shook the mind control away. He landed on the ground gracefully. But then, Zhou Qing landed in the air above him. His demonic eyes stared at Yang Teng. At the same time, endless vines fell toward Yang Teng. This was the wood element spell Yi Futian had used before the School of the Emperor Star, Lock of 1,000 Vines. The spiritual chi on Yang Teng burst forward. He wanted to gather his spell, but the mind storm attacked. He discovered that he could not control the spiritual chi around him and his spell would not form. With a whoosh, the vines locked down around him, immobilizing him. Zhou Qing descended slowly. He kept his demonic eyes on the struggling Yang Teng. Then, Yang Teng felt the vines, sharp thorns dig into his body. He cried out from the intense pain. With a snap, the vines stiffened. They snapped his joints and Yang Teng's body became deformed. Now he was regretting taking up this challenge. Zhou Qing was more powerful than what the rumors said. Thud. Zhou Qing's foot fell before him. The next moment, there was a string of noise and the vines tossed Yang Teng in the direction of the School of the Finance Star. The people there caught his body but saw that his limbs were all deformed. He was curled up in extreme pain. Take him to get medical treatment, Yi Shang said. He studied Zhou Qing, whose eyes had returned to normal. Zhou Qing smiled and said, sorry. With that, he returned to the School of the Emperor Star crowd. Many people could feel the coldness. Zhou Qing had directly disabled a disciple of the School of the Finance Star. He was so cruel. The student of the Emperor Star headmaster is as expected, a clan member praised. They had seen situations like this many times before and were used to it. In the future, he will definitely be an important figure of Donghai City, many praised. The headmaster of Emperor Star smiled and said, Zhou Qing is not just this. Next year, he will attend His Majesty's Tingfeng banquet. Yes, with Zhou Qing's talent, he will definitely make a show at the Tingfeng banquet, someone said with a laugh. Everyone was praising Zhou Qing. No one ever asked about the defeated one. While everyone was talking, Yu Sheng stepped onto the battlefield. He gazed at the School of the Emperor Star and said coldly, Yu Sheng, 6-star Glory Plane, challenges everyone from Emperor Star under the 7-star Glory Plane. The chattering stopped. Countless eyes studied this burly figure. A 6-star glory plane was challenging everyone from Emperor Star under 7-star. Was he crazy? It's him. Lin Shui's eyes brightened. Yu Sheng was so wild, but Yi Futian had not appeared. Isn't that the kid who came to our home with the Chin Devil before? Is his brain okay? Mu Hong from the school of the Flirting Star asked his children, the Mu Yunqing siblings. Mu Yunqing and Mu Yunyi's eyes flashed. They thought this guy was so messed up. Back when he was a 5-star glory plane, not even those in the 8-star dared to fight directly with him. Now that he was in the 6-star glory plane, those under 7-star probably wouldn't even be able to break through his defenses. He could sweep the battlefield. Father, he is pretty strong, Mu Yunqing said weakly. Mu Hong nodded and looked back at Yu Sheng. If that was the case, he would just watch. Presumptuous. One of our students is enough for you, an elder from the school of the Emperor Star said. Then he ordered a student beside him to fight. That student forced himself forward. His eyes were a bit fearful when he looked at Yu Sheng. Many understood that the school had sent the student to be destroyed. Reality proved them right. When Yu Sheng applied his power, his fist sent the boy flying. Then he tossed the boy in the direction of the school of the Emperor Star. With a menacing cold stare, he glared and said, "Despicable." With that, he returned to his school. He does have some skills. Mu Hong was shocked. The scene seemed odd to him. He asked Mu Yunqing, "Is the Chin Devil's disciple also cultivating here?" "Yes." Mu Yunqing nodded. "How is he?" Mu Hong asked. "His cultivation should be equal to me." Mu Yunqing answered, speaking only of cultivation instead of ability. The battles continued. The outstanding students of all 7 schools came out to display their abilities. However, the spectators all realized that the school of the Finance Star had grudges with many people. The schools of Emperor Star, Treasury Star, and Flirting Star all seemed to target them. It was difficult for the students of the Finance Star. They were constantly challenged and constantly lost. They rarely won and many were treated cruelly. When Zhou Mu, the disciple of the Art Saint, came up, the atmosphere was pushed to the peak. Zhou Mu's cultivation had improved. He was now in the 7-star glory plane and challenged the 8-star students of the school of the Finance Star. Good, someone praised. As expected of the Art Saint Inheritor. He can summon beasts through his paintings that are stronger than real demons. He does have the style of the past Art Saint. There is no other like him, many big figures said. But at this time, 2 figures walked into the crowd. Yi Futian carried the Chin Devil and found his school. He pushed through the crowd. Yi Futian was not planning on coming, but his teacher wanted to have a look. After this, Donghai Academy would no longer be the academy of the past. Many familiar people would be present today too. Cheers exploded. Yi Futian looked up and saw Zhou Mu had summoned a beast to defeat his opponent. Many spectators glanced at the school of the Finance Star. Their disciples had lost horribly today. Brother Fengliu. At this time, someone saw Yi Futian carrying Hua Fengliu toward their school and immediately called out. Hua Fengliu, the Chin Devil, has appeared. Is that his disciple? Many asked. Yi Futian was speechless. He muttered, "Professor, you're too out there." "I have a reputation," Hua Fengliu replied nonchalantly. Yi Futian could not argue. Haha, today the Art Saint's disciple had shown his talents. Coincidentally, Brother Fengliu has appeared with his disciple. They should duel so we can see if Brother Fengliu's disciple can be compared to the Art Saints. A bright voice sounded. It was Mu Hong. As soon as he finished, many eyes from Donghai Academy turned toward him. They were all shocked and stared at him as if looking at an idiot. How much did he hate the Art Saint that he wanted to humiliate the man this badly? Chapter 87 called out. Chapter 87, called out. The events at the school of the Emperor Star shocked all of Donghai Academy. There wasn't a single person who did not know about it. Zhou Mu was defeated by Yi Futian in such a humiliating way. His defeat was an equivalent to a slap in the face for the Art Saint and became a taboo topic amongst the Art Saint's acquaintances. They were all extremely cautious of their words around him. But now, this Mu Hong character dared to bring up the subject in front of all these people. It was obvious how the people of Donghai Academy felt about this. Especially when he said, let's see if Brother Fengliu's disciple is a fraction as gifted as the Art Saint's disciple. How was the Art Saint supposed to feel about this? Many people were afraid to look at him. They were all afraid that they might catch the Art Saint's eyes. This idiot! The officials of the Emperor Star School all glared at Mu Hong. The officials of the School of the Flirting Star were also looking at him. This sucker's son and daughter had been beaten up by Yi Futian. Did he not know of this? Mu Hong noticed all the attention he was getting. He thought to himself, who would have thought that the battle between the Art Saint and the Gukan Devil still had this much influence on people? There should be a lot of people who look forward to a battle between their disciples. It was a pity that Hua Fengliu was so inferior now, going around begging others like a stray dog. It was only natural that his disciple would not amount to the brilliant Zhou Mu. Father, his children called to him. Standing behind Mu Hong, Mu Yunqing, and Mu Yunyi were going to be sick. They never expected Yi Futian to show up out of the blue, and never in a million years did they think their father would say such things. There was no way that the Art Saint and the School of the Emperor Star were not offended by Mu Hong's words. Even Yi Futian was stunned by Mu Hong. Yi Futian remembered this man vividly. After all, he was the first person that Hua Fengliu introduced him to upon their arrival in the city of Donghai. He could not believe that Mu Hong would say these things in this setting. Looking to the Mu siblings who stood behind their father, he gave them a meaningful smile. Just as he thought, the siblings did not have the guts to complain to Mu Hong. It was probably because they were too embarrassed. Greetings, Senior, Yi Futian suddenly greeted Mu Hong with a smile. He continued, when I met you I thought that you were a brilliant man and that your children were destined to become the best of the best. I only found out that they were students of the Flirting Star School when I entered the academy. Under your guidance, your children must be very talented. Hua Fengliu blinked a couple of times. He looked at his disciple, speechless. Could Yi Futian be more brazen? But why did he anticipate what would happen next? Hua Fengliu was not the only one who was shocked by Yi Futian. The students of Donghai Academy all looked dumbfoundedly at Yi Futian. Weren't the Mu siblings the very first people that Yi Futian beat up on his first day at the academy? How deep was this rivalry that Yi Futian had to play with Mu Hong in this way? Although Yunqing and Yunyi can't claim to be geniuses, they are still pretty gifted. Very talented. Would be right, Mu Hong said confidently. Mu Yunyi pulled at her father's clothes from behind and whispered, Father, stop talking already. Mu Hong furrowed his eyebrows. His head tilted in confusion. Very talented indeed. I have witnessed this firsthand on my first day at the academy. The two of them have inherited your life spirit and possess extraordinary gifts. A chip off the old block if you will, laughed Yi Futian. Everyone's expression darkened. This rascal. The Mu siblings looked extremely awkward. They were so embarrassed. Mu Yunyi glared at Yi Futian. This jerk was doing this on purpose. Observing the looks on his children's faces, Mu Hong began to realize that something wasn't right. He asked, how did the battle go that day? Mu Yunqing and Mu Yunyi lowered their heads. Their hatred for Yi Futian strengthened. There was no chance Mu Hong could stay oblivious at this point. His expression fell immediately when he finally realized that he had fallen into Yi Futian's trap. Turning his attention away from his children, Mu Hong looked at Yi Futian once again. He forced a smile on his face and said, you are indeed the Gukan Devil's disciple. It seems that you are extremely gifted. It is fortunate that these two incompetent rascals know to be embarrassed. They didn't dare to mention the battle to me. Since I've already witnessed the abilities of the Art Saint's disciple, I am now more interested to know just how outstanding the Gukan Devil's disciple is. Yi Futian snickered at the sight of Mu Hong. This guy couldn't seem to get enough of offending others. Father, Mu Yunqing called out to Mu Hong again. Simultaneously, a voice rang out from the direction of the group from the Emperor Star School, have you had enough? Mu Hong froze. His gaze shifted in the direction of the voice and saw the icy gazes on himself. Zhou Mu has also been glaring at him coldly from his spot on the battle platform. Even as he returned to his seat with the others from the School of the Emperor Star, Zhou Mu continued to glare at Mu Hong. His battle with Yi Futian was also the most humiliating for him. What was Mu Hong trying to do, bringing it up again? Mu Hong suddenly felt like the public enemy. He thought to himself, what on earth happened? I admit that my disciple is not on par with Hua Fenglio's disciple. After his defeat last time, I already told Zhou Mu to focus all his energy on cultivation. I don't think that it is necessary for Brother Mu to bring up this topic again, right? Someone said softly. Everyone shivered. It was the art saint who spoke. Mu Hong froze with his eyes on the art saint. His heart pounded rapidly. He finally understood why everyone was looking at him, and why Yi Futian looked at him funny. So, the art saint's disciple, Zhou Mu, already had an exchange with the Gukan devil's disciple. What's more was that he was defeated. His eyes twitched. He turned to glare at his own children. Oh, how he wanted to give them each a slap across the face. These two brats didn't bring him any intel on Yi Futian. Upon having another look at the art saint and the officials of the school of the Emperor Star, Mu Hong knew exactly what kind of effects his words had. Please forgive me, Brother Hua. I had no idea of any of this. I had no intentions of offending anyone, Mu Hong apologized. The art saint turned his gaze away, not looking at Mu Hong. At this Mu Hong's lips twitched. His piercing eyes turned to Yi Futian. Yi Futian felt wronged. He was completely clueless when he first arrived at the assembly. Mu Hong was the one who offended everyone with a single sentence. All he could do was to go along with him. At this time, many clueless outsiders observed Yi Futian. The Gukan devil's disciple actually defeated the art saint's disciple. Lin Shui, who had her eyes trained on Yi Futian the whole time, smiled and said, I didn't expect that he would become so powerful after getting into Donghai Academy. He was still slightly inferior back at the Luo Palace, but then he actually defeated Zhou Mu. Xiao He was also shocked. Let's continue, said Han Mo. He did not want to dwell on this topic any longer. Today was the Emperor Star School's day to shine, but Yi Futian has stolen the spotlight. His mere existence was an annoyance. And then, that idiot Mu Hong just had to start a fight with him. Mu Hong's actions just now inadvertently humiliated the school of the Emperor Star. More disciples from the school stepped out and the assembly of the 7 schools continued. Yi Futian and the Gukan devil sat with the school of the Finance Star. They quietly watched the assembly progress. They deduced that the Emperor Star School was targeting the Finance Star School. Yi Futian was fuming inwardly. At the same time, he could only sigh because he knew how sly the school of the Emperor Star was. Even if he stepped up, he could only fight. It would not help the situation at all. As a whole, the school of the Finance Star could not compare to the school of the Emperor Star. They were completely overpowered. Watching the students of the Emperor Star School fight, Hua Fenglio reminisced about his days of cultivation there. It was a pity that things were so different now. Everybody has changed. Sitting amongst the group from the Emperor Star School were many familiar faces, but none of them would even look him in the eye anymore. Their attitude towards him and their attitude towards the person who used to be equally as famous as himself, the art saint, were completely different. Thinking about the past, Tang Wan observed Hua Fenglio's expression from beside him and asked, Don't make fun of me. He smiled bitterly at her. You used to be so famous at the academy. It's normal to think about the past, Tang Wan replied. She turned to look ahead. She also thought of her cultivation days. Hua Fenglio wasn't the only one who was famous at Donghai Academy back then. So was the art saint, Nando Wenyan, and herself. They were all extremely gifted. I've always had a regret. Master is a person of such high caliber, but as his disciple, I didn't even get the chance to demonstrate my powers as a musical sorcerer before getting kicked out of the academy, sighed Hua Fenglio. Tang Wan nodded. Elder Qin is indeed very respectable, but Yi Futian was able to prove himself in front of the school of the Emperor Star with one musical piece, the Decree of the General. That should make up for at least a part of your regrets, right? She asked. Yeah, Hua Fenglio nodded. Time passed little by little. It was dusk. The sky turned a beautiful red. People from Donghai Academy looked up at the beautiful night sky from time to time. It was almost like the end of an era. Is he really not going to fight? Asked Lin Shui. Her beautiful eyes never left Yi Futian. How could he not fight on a day like this? It was the assembly of the 7 schools for crying aloud. Since he was able to defeat Zhou Mu, it was obvious that he was really capable. Slowly, people stopped stepping onto the battle platform. Everyone began to whisper left and right. Someone laughed as they said, "Today is Donghai Academy's assembly of the even schools. The school of the Emperor Star put on such an impressive performance. They have overshadowed the other 6 schools. The school of the Treasury Star wasn't bad either. They only lacked a little in comparison to the Emperor Star School. They can be considered the second best school of Donghai Academy," someone else commented. From these comments, everyone knew that the agenda of the assembly was just getting started. Amongst the group from the Emperor Star School, Han Mo smiled lightly. He turned to look at the Crown Prince and heard Luo Junlin say to Minister Hua, "The person that Minister Zuo favors has not made his move yet." Minister Hua nodded. He then whispered in the ear of the headmaster of the Emperor Star School. The headmaster wore a strange look on his face but nodded anyway. The headmaster stood up and called out, "Hua Fengliu." Hua Fengliu lifted his head in confusion. He looked at the headmaster and smiled. "Greetings, Uncle Master." The headmaster nodded in response and said, "You used to be a student of our school, so why are you sitting with the school of the Finance Star today?" "I am here with my disciple today. He is a student of the Finance Star School, so I sat here with him," Hua Fengliu answered calmly. "Then I have nothing better to say regarding that. The Crown Prince and Minister Hua have graced us with their presence today and would like to witness the powers of the best students of Donghai Academy. Your disciple is extremely gifted but has not stepped up. What is the meaning of that?" The headmaster reprimanded. This was peculiar to everyone watching. Why was the headmaster asking for Yi Futian? However, there were a lot of people who looked forward to witnessing the outstanding gifts of the person who defeated the Art Saint's disciple. Hua Fengliu and Yi Futian felt something was amiss. Was there no other choice but to fight? At this moment, Yi Futian saw Tang Wan walk to the front with a guqin in her hands. "Do you? I purposely carry it with me. The Guqin Devil's disciple can't do without a guqin," she said. Yi Futian gave her a smile. She came prepared in hopes that they could take advantage of this event to make sure the Guqin Devil's name wouldn't be forgotten by the citizens of the city of Donghai. Yi Futian nodded with a smile and took over the guqin, named "Do You?" Let's play a piece for Master today. Chapter 88 The World. Chapter 88. The World. Yi Futian slowly walked out to the center of the square. Countless gazes fell upon him. The younger generation went without saying. Yi Futian had already proved how powerful he was. The older generation was also paying attention. The Qin Devil had returned to Donghai City as a disabled man. How talented could his disciple be? Yi Futian put the guqin before him and sat down slowly. Clad in a white robe, he looked extremely handsome and regal. Seeing him, Lin Shui gasped and was shocked. She had once thought that he was just an average musician who went to the Luo Palace to learn more about the world. Then, Yi Futian displayed his talent during the battle. Today, she heard that he had defeated Zhou Mu at Donghai Academy. Just how outstanding was this handsome boy? Her father glanced at her. To be honest, he knew about Yi Futian defeating Zhou Mu but he didn't tell Lin Shui. This girl was interested in the boy but Yi Futian was the Qin Devil's disciple. He had conflicts with the Art Saint and the school of the Emperor Star. His future would have many obstacles. Plus, he already had a girlfriend, that one from the Nando clan. He didn't want his daughter to get involved and have her heart broken. Mu Hong studied Yi Futian but his eyes darkened. Yi Futian looked up at the setting sun. There was a smile in his clear eyes. She said slowly, "This song was composed by myself. It is called Hero." With that, he began playing. His fingers slid over the strings and a graceful melody came out. He did not challenge anyone. "He's just playing music," someone said. The spectators were impressed. Today's motive was to see the accomplished students display their talents. They did not necessarily have to challenge others. For the Qin Devil's disciple, music playing was naturally a way to do that. People quickly stopped mulling. The moment the music sounded, they fell into a pleasantly strange artistic conception. At first, the melody was cheerful and fresh. As the music entered their ears, a picture appeared in the audience's minds. They seemed to see a handsome youth earnestly bow to his teacher for the first time. The youth had extraordinary talent. He was well liked by his teacher and was taught true skills, growing even more powerful. The melody gradually became graceful and moving. It made one feel as if they were falling in love. They involuntarily entered this mindset. The student grew up, met a girl, and fell in love. His heartbeat seemed to be audible in the music. The moving melody changed again. It became heavy and dark. The relationship was judged and opposed. A few big figures furrowed their brows. Was the meaning behind this song his own story or Hua Fengliu's? The music changed again. The youth had matured and become successful, but he still wanted to be with his loved one, even if everyone opposed it, even if it was beyond redemption. The music intensified. The main character of the melody seemed to be fighting against fate. He faced everything alone, but in the end, he failed. The music grew dreary, like a hero past his prime. Just as everyone thought the song was over, the dreary melody suddenly recovered its vitality. Rather than being spirited again, it was as calm as water, like a change in mindset. Everyone could see that the main character had gone through many hardships and cultivated. But he still could not forget his home and lover. He decided to return and face the changes in the world. Even if he was defeated, he was still a hero. The melody stopped. The music faded slowly. Everyone seemed to be unwilling to return to reality. The young people were especially affected by the attractive force of the music. In the school of the finance star crowd, Tang Lan's eyes welled with tears. She gazed at Hua Fengliu, who was now disabled. There was a faint smile on his handsome face. His disciple was able to compose now and had performed his entire life. Many big figures glanced at Yi Futian. They naturally understood the meaning behind the song. This was a composition for the Qin Devil. Yi Futian used his music to express his teacher's life. Though he didn't fight anyone, this melody was better than the Qin Devil in the past. No one dared to look down on him. Mu Hong narrowed his eyes at Yi Futian. No wonder Hua Fengliu had begged him for this student. He was a second Hua Fengliu. Who did you play this for? Luo Junlin, the crown prince, asked from the direction of the school of the Emperor Star. Your Highness, I played for my master. Yi Futian set his hands down and looked up at Luo Junlin. You have enough artistic conception but not enough elan. You did not reveal a true musical spell. Since you are such a good musician, why don't you perform something for me today as well? Luo Junlin said. Yi Futian gazed at the crown prince. Since he requested it, Yi Futian could not deny him. He nodded and said, okay. I am still unable to compose my own musical spell, so I can only perform someone else's. Sure. Luo Junlin nodded. Yi Futian lowered his head and began playing again. His fingers strummed and the instrument strings vibrated. A note broke through the air like powerful running thunder. This piece is the world. As he spoke, the music notes danced. The audience instantly felt an extreme power. Many people's eyes flashed. Yi Futian truly was a prodigy. They instantly understood that this melody was created for the crown prince. A terrifying music storm gathered around Yi Futian. It was as powerful as crashing tidal waves. Now, different images flashed past the audience's mind as the music played. Signal smoke rose and the emperor rode onto the battlefield to conquer the lands. Some also saw the king ride a dragon and survey the world. Everyone he passed bowed down. In this melody, the world was like a painting. Send some men up, Luo Junlin said indifferently. Minister Hua glanced at the school of the Emperor Star headmaster and uttered a command. Several disciples then walked toward Yi Futian. However, their steps were very difficult. The music constantly entered their ears, making them scared to fight back. Spiritual chi gathered around them and they stepped forward. However, the music was still rising. It seemed to want to break through the clouds. Now, Yi Futian was shrouded in a halo of light. He was like a young king. He represented the world. Everyone saw a shocking image. There was a blurry figure up above. He had an emperor's long robe and a crown. He walked toward them, commanding the world, making them voluntarily want to bow down to him. The weaker Emperor Star students going toward Yi Futian had prostrated themselves to the ground, not daring to raise their heads. They seemed to be revering Yi Futian. More and more people knelt down under the music's influence. As if controlled by the musical spell, they worshipped the emperor. Boom! A terrible sharpness flashed past the eyes of the big figures. They felt the youth's talent and shuddered. Something felt wrong. This song was called The World. It was performed for the crown prince, but Yi Futian was the performer. At this moment, he had become the high and mighty emperor, and Luo Junlin was before him, face to face. The elegance and grace of the white-clothed youth truly was like an emperor now. Did the musical spell give it to him, or was he born with it? Lin Shui gaped. The present Yi Futian was even more brilliant than that day at the Luo Palace. He was unmatchable. He could even be compared to someone like the crown prince, let alone Zhou Mu. Mu Hong shuddered as well. Hua Fengliu had such a student and had once come to him, but he rejected the man. Can't this guy keep a low profile? Yi Shang cursed. He didn't want Yi Futian to attend this event. Being too bright was not a good thing. Nowadays, Minister Hua and the crown prince were very close. He hoped Yi Futian would stay low and attend the Tingfeng banquet with Minister Zuo. Some people are born like this, Hua Fengliu said calmly. Not many knew about Yi Futian's secret, but he and Yu Sheng knew. The inheritor of Emperor Yi Qing was definitely not an average man. His aura would appear when playing music, which he probably didn't even know himself. When Luo Junlin told Yi Futian to perform something, the world should be the most suitable piece. However, this piece caused Yi Futian to reveal his emperor-like aura. This was neither on purpose nor brought about by the musical spell. It was something he was born with. Hua Fengliu could guess that Yi Futian had a shocking background. At this moment, at the highest seat in the school of the Emperor Star, Luo Junlin slowly stood up. Then, to the surprise of all, he walked down toward the center of the square, toward Yi Futian. People could feel those who were the same. Luo Junlin was destined to be king. Everyone in Nando knew that he ruled over the world. He could feel something similar coming from Yi Futian. It was the aura of an emperor. The music reached the climax. Then it descended and stopped. Luo Junlin also stopped before Yi Futian. Countless eyes were on them. Yi Shang and Hua Fengliu were even a bit nervous as they watched. As the crown prince, Luo Junlin shouldn't kill Yi Futian just for a song. He had told the youth to play it, after all. Follow me. When I become king, you will be minister, Luo Junlin said, staring at Yi Futian. With that, the world fell into silence. When I become king, you will be minister. Chapter 89. Go with the flow, go against the flow. Chapter 89. Go with the flow, go against the flow. Luo Junlin was the crown prince. What did that mean? It meant that he was going to become the emperor in the future. The words of an emperor were to be taken seriously. Since Luo Junlin had spoken, it meant that he was serious. So, at the nod of Yi Futian's head, he would be bestowed a title of nobility and become a prime minister. Then, as soon as the throne was passed down to the crown prince, Yi Futian will be a prime minister of the nation. It was an utmost honor for a mere 16-year-old student to be bestowed such a title. This unbelievable ordeal was something you had to see for yourself to believe. Some people were in utter disbelief. This couldn't be real. Had the crown prince gone mad? No matter how gifted Yi Futian was, he was still very young. The future was filled with uncertainty. How could the crown prince promise him the title of prime minister so easily? Minister Hua was frozen in his seat. His eyes sharpened, but he remained silent, not stopping Luo Junlin. Who was he to stop the crown prince? Sha Feng was feeling helpless and miserable at this point. He had just begged Minister Hua and the crown prince to save his son earlier today, but now, the crown prince was recruiting Yi Futian to be the future prime minister. By the looks of this, if Yi Futian was smart, there was no way he would reject this offer. If things proceeded, then his son, Sha Fan, was good as gone. Mu Hong, Lin Shui, powerful cultivators of the Emperor Star School, and officials of Donghai Academy, all failed to comprehend the situation as well. It was true that Yi Futian possessed outstanding gifts, but weren't the crown prince's words too rash? Obviously, Luo Junlin hadn't gone mad, nor was he dumb. He felt a familiar aura from Yi Futian. This young man was a person favored by Minister Zuo and even held the decree of the minister in his hands. Putting the pieces together, Luo Junlin was able to think of a lot of things. Plus, he understood Minister Zuo a little too well and was well aware of his way of style of doing things. Yi Futian was also very shocked. He did not understand why one piece would cause such a strong reaction from the crown prince. Did he want to bestow him the title of Prime Minister? Your Highness, I have too many ties here and is not able to drop everything to leave with you. Can we reconsider this in the future? Yi Futian asked Luo Junlin. Even though he had no intentions of taking the offer, he could not offend royalty in front of everyone. Luo Junlin shook his head. Seeing his expression, Yi Futian bowed. Please forgive me, Your Highness. He rejected. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Yi Futian in immense shock. Yi Futian actually turned down the chance to become minister. The Nando nation controlled 36 prefectures and every prefecture contained many cities. Just prefecture chiefs held a lot of power and were big shots in their respective prefectures already, so just imagine the power a minister would have. The Nando nation had 2 ministers. Minister Zuo, the left minister, controlled the inner workings of the nation while Minister Hua, the right minister, controlled the army. The power of a prime minister was second only to the emperor himself. Such a great opportunity had been placed in front of Yi Futian's eyes but he chose to reject. Luo Junlin stared at Yi Futian. He said, "Do you know the consequences of going against an imperial order? Even though I am not the emperor yet, I will be in the future." At his domineering words, everybody's expressions changed. As the crown prince, Luo Junlin already exuded the intimidating emperor of an emperor. If it was an imperial order, I would have no way to reject, Your Highness, answered Yi Futian. Luo Junlin was quiet as he looked into Yi Futian's eyes. A wave of pressure washed over Yi Futian. Suddenly, Luo Junlin smiled. He said, "If so, then I won't force it on you. You may be excused." "Thank you, Your Highness," Yi Futian said as he bowed, ready to retreat back to his seat. As Yi Futian walked back to his place beside Hua Fengliu, Luo Junlin stood still, watching his retreating figure. He gave off a murderous vibe as he walked to his seat as well. When their backs turned to each other, Yi Futian and Luo Junlin walked off the battle platform to return to their own seats. Everyone's eyes followed the 2 figures. One was the powerful young crown prince, who already possessed the attitude of an emperor, and one was a young man, gifted by the heavens. He possessed extraordinary gifts and his future was unpredictable. Luo Junlin sat down in his seat and then with a stern look around, he said, "I am very disappointed. Today is Donghai Academy's assembly of the 7 schools, but from what I have seen, not too many of its students possess extraordinary gifts. Amongst the 7 schools, only the schools of the Emperor Star and the Treasury Star can be considered competent. If so, why do you need 7 schools? From this day on Donghai Academy shall fall under the jurisdiction of the School of the Emperor Star, and the School of the Treasury Star will assist." Silence. These words did not come from the headmaster of the Emperor Star School. Neither did it come from Minister Hua. These words came from the Crown Prince, Luo Junlin. He had already been rejected by Yi Futian today. By the stern look on his face, everyone knew that if any single person dared to object against Luo Junlin's decision, they would meet with a frightening ending. The inevitable changes in Donghai Academy had finally come. "Yes, Your Highness." The headmasters of the Emperor Star and the Treasure Star School stood and bowed to receive the order of the Crown Prince. The other 5 headmasters did not say a single word as they too stood up. Looking at the powerful Crown Prince, they bowed and said, "As you wish, Your Highness." When the Crown Prince and Minister Hua arrived at Donghai Academy, many people had already predicted something like this would happen. The school of the Emperor Star had gotten too powerful. There was no way to stop them. And now, the inevitable had come. "You may all be dismissed," Luo Junlin said with a wave of his hand. He then turned to leave. His every word was absolute. Minister Hua got up from his seat to look at everyone once more before following behind Luo Junlin. A whole group of people followed not too closely behind Luo Junlin and Minister Hua as they walked towards the school of the Emperor Star. "What do you think of what happened just now?" Luo Junlin asked Minister Hua. Naturally, Minister Hua understood that Luo Junlin was not speaking of the ordeal with the Emperor Star School but about Yi Futian. "Your Highness must have had a reason for doing so," answered Minister Hua. "When he was playing the Guqin, he exuded the aura of an emperor," said Luo Junlin. Minister Hua looked shocked but said nothing. These words could only be said by the Crown Prince. He could not repeat them as a minister. When I said that I would give him the title of Prime Minister, he was not moved. He had no greed. It seemed like he had no interest in the position of minister. Luo Junlin laughed with a cold demeanor. He is indeed a person worthy of being favored by Minister Zuo. Minister Zuo does have a very good eye, said Minister Hua. Many of our nation's officials were discovered by Minister Zuo, said Luo Junlin. Minister Hua's gaze sharpened. He knew what Luo Junlin said was true. Astrologers were a scary bunch. But Minister Zuo had never given out the decree of the minister to anyone. This is my reason for coming to the city of Donghai. Yi Futian might be different from the others that Minister Zuo had previously discovered, said Luo Junlin. His gaze sharpened as well. What do you mean by this, Your Highness? Asked Minister Hua. Even though I am the future emperor, the person with the most influence in the imperial city, beside my father, is Minister Zuo, Luo Junlin said. Your Highness, you will step up to the throne one day. Plus, with your gifts, you will definitely not be any inferior to His Majesty. Power is always in your reach, replied Minister Zuo. Luo Junlin snickered and said, that's a given. The throne is not my final goal, but if Minister Zuo does anything to get in the way, I will not let him off so easily. Minister Hua was shocked by the Crown Prince. Your Highness, I don't think Minister Zuo will try anything, said Minister Hua. On his trip to the city of Qingzhou, besides bestowing the decree of the minister upon Yi Futian, Minister Zuo also accepted a request from the Nando clan. Why else would they invite Minister Zuo to the Nando palace? Of course, it was to get a fortune told. Minister Zuo would not have told the fortune of the elders in the clan. The most outstanding person in the Nando clan right now is a young lady named Hua Jiu. The day Yi Futian crashed the school of the Emperor Star, he went there looking for her. They're a couple, explained Luo Junlin. After a while, he spoke again. After returning to the imperial city, Minister Zuo began to plan for next year's Tingfang banquet. He also tried to convince father to put the people of Nando clan in important positions. Who do you think he's paving a road for? Yi Futian and Hua Jiu. Minister Hua made a realization. He felt a shiver run down his back. The Crown Prince was way scarier than he had anticipated. That's right, Minister Zuo is making the bold move of paving the way for this young couple. Plus, Yi Futian exuded the aura of an emperor today. Do you still think that Minister Zuo isn't trying anything? Asked Luo Junlin. Minister Hua was dumbfounded. He knew that everything the Crown Prince said was true. Minister Zuo was an astrologer. He must have told Yi Futian and Hua Jiu's fortune. Furthermore, Yi Futian exuded the aura of an emperor. What were they fated to be? It was a scary thought. Send people to keep an eye on Yi Futian and the Nando clan. Then, we'll head back to the imperial city to see father, said Luo Junlin. There were still some things that he did not tell Minister Hua. In the city of Qingzhou, Minister Zuo yelled at Luo Junlin's younger sister for Yi Futian. He made his sister, the princess, apologize to Yi Futian. Did princesses need to apologize to commoners? What was Yi Futian's true identity? What kind of person was worthy enough for Minister Zuo to do all this? There was also another thing he held a grudge on. As the Crown Prince, Luo Junlin had requested for Minister Zuo to become his master multiple times but was always rejected. Minister Zuo said he didn't dare to be the master of the future emperor. This also meant that Minister Zuo was unwilling to be his aide. Not only that, Minister Zuo has also refused to tell Luo Junlin's fortune. His reason was an emperor's fortune must not be told. Luo Junlin wasn't going to believe his B*LL shit reasons. There was only one reason for Minister Zuo, an astrologer, to refuse to aid the Crown Prince. And that was, the Crown Prince was not fated to an emperor. It's just that Minister Zuo didn't dare to say these words. Minister Zuo had once said the fortunes told by astrologers were the general flow of events. To go against the flow would only bring harm. But Luo Junlin refused to believe this. He was going to change his own fate. He was born to become emperor. Luo Junlin was going to take life into his own hands. At Donghai Academy, the crowd had yet to depart from the central square. What were they supposed to do now that the 7 schools were to be united? In the direction of the School of the Finance Star, a large group formed around Yi Shang. He was explaining something to the crowd and they looked at him, not willing to part. Headmaster Yi Shang of the School of the Finance Star was stepping down and turning over his position to someone else. He was planning to leave the academy. I'm so tired after all these years. From now on, all of you should continue to work hard. I'm only in charge of my daughter and my disciple now, joked Yi Shang. Headmaster, don't you mean daughter and son-in-law? Teased Yi Futian. Yi Qingshan glared at him but Yi Shang laughed and looked at Yu Sheng. That's right, son-in-law, works too. Yu Sheng blinked then looked at Yi Futian, only to see Yi Futian slip him a sly smile. He seemed to be waiting for words of gratitude from Yi Sheng. Master, it's almost the end of the year. The Gukan garden is so big, Hua Fengliu and I feel so lonely there. Why don't you move there to live with us? Tang Wan asked Yi Shang. Yi Shang looked at her. He couldn't help but smile when he saw how nervous she looked. All right, he replied. Tang Wan's face lit up with a bright smile. Okay, let's be on our way now. Let's go. Yi Shang took large steps and walked forward. Yu Sheng and Yi Qingshan followed after him. Yi Futian, carrying Hua Fengliu, and Tang Wan followed at the back of the group. Yi Futian smiled while watching the group of people ahead of him. This felt like a huge family reunion. It was such a pleasant feeling. If only Fox and Masteress were here too, then it would be perfect. He was going to work hard to make it happen. As the sun set, the group walked out of Donghai Academy. There was no looking back now. Chapter 90 Public Displays of Affection. Chapter 90. Public Displays of Affection. In the Gukan Gardens, a group walked down slowly. It was Tang Lan, Yi Shang, and the others. Master, this is where Fengliu used to live. It'll be our home in the future, Tang Lan said to Yi Shang. Yes, Yi Shang nodded. He looked back at Yi Futian who was carrying Hua Fengliu and said coolly, don't know where you got the luck. Hua Fengliu smiled wryly. It had been so many years but the grudge was still there. Master, did Senior Yi used to treat you as a son-in-law? Yi Futian mumbled. Hua Fengliu and Tang Lan had feelings for each other before. Yi Shang clearly really liked Tang Lan and treated her as a daughter. Yi Futian could imagine his attitude toward Hua Fengliu before. I'm not clear. I just know that if you don't shut up, you won't be my son-in-law, Hua Fengliu said with a smile. Blanching, Yi Futian shut his mouth. Beside them, Tang Wan smiled and looked at Yi Futian, amused at his words. Entering the Gukan Gardens, a breeze welcomed them. The garden had a nice environment. The sun was setting, basking the fallen leaves in a golden glow. It was beautiful. A white-haired old man was sweeping the leaves with a broom. Yi Futian looked at him. The head of white hair and stooped body made him halt his steps. What's wrong? Hua Fengliu asked, confused by the scene. Tang Wan stopped as well. Tang Wan, who is he? Yi Futian asked. The people ahead of them stopped too. Tang Lan followed his eyes and saw the old man. She said, he has ailing health but wanted a job so I arranged for him to clean up the garden. Is something wrong? Aunt Tang, when was this? Why didn't I know about it? Yi Futian asked. You're always out. How would you know? It should have been after you and your teacher came, Tang Lan answered casually. Oh, Yi Futian nodded and smiled. I was just wondering. With that, he continued forward. The others glanced at him in confusion but let it go quickly. Tang Lan helped Yi Shang and Yi Qingshan settle in. Yi Zhang's wife had left him long ago, either because of different viewpoints or Yi Zhang's temper. Yi Shang had raised Yi Qingshan alone in the School of the Finance Star. That was why Tang Lan invited them to treat the Gukan Gardens as their own home. She knew that her teacher lacked the feeling of a family. Afterward, Tang Lan ordered the servants to prepare dinner. Yi Futian helped his teacher into a chair. Seeing Yu Sheng and Yi Qingshan stuck together, he was forced to say, Qingshan, can I borrow Yu Sheng for a moment? Yi Qingshan glared at Yi Futian. Yu Sheng asked uncertainly, what's wrong? Come with me, Yi Futian said. Yu Sheng followed him in confusion and was brought to the entrance of the garden to look at the old man sweeping. Don't you think he looks familiar? Yi Futian asked. You probably miss him. Yu Sheng naturally understood what Yi Futian meant by familiar. Maybe. Yi Futian nodded. I always feel like Godfather is watching us. Would he? Yu Sheng seemed to mutter to himself. Probably. Yi Futian chuckled and walked over. Seeing them, the old man lowered his head and greeted them, young masters. What is your name? Yi Futian asked. My surname is Yu. My name is too lowly to mention, the old man said. Yu. Yi Futian's eyes flashed. He ordered, raise your head. The old man slowly looked up. His cloudy eyes had no spirit in them. He seemed extremely old with white hair and a white beard. Like lightning, Yi Futian tugged his beard. The man cried out in pain. Young master, have mercy. What did I do wrong? It's real, Yi Futian muttered. Then he said, Grandpa Yu, I'm sorry. I thought you were someone I know. It's all right. The man waved. Grandpa Yu, can I come chat with you often in the future? Yi Futian asked. I am honored. He nodded with a smile. Then it's a deal. Yi Futian smiled as well and said, then I won't disturb you anymore. He and Yu Sheng left afterward. Were my senses wrong? Yi Futian muttered. He was usually very sensitive and sharp. Are you overthinking? Yu Sheng asked. They had similar body shape and stature but their appearances were completely different. How could they be the same man? Yi Futian had even tugged the old man's beard. He clearly suspected something. Yi Futian's eyes flashed. Had he really been overthinking? The two returned to the garden. The dishes were gradually being brought to the table. The people all sat down. Senior Yi, when is Yu Sheng and Qingshen's wedding? Yi Futian asked at the table. Yu Sheng gaped at him. Yi Qingshen's eyes flashed too, wondering what that guy was worried about. Stop thinking about them and think about yourself. Yi Sheng gave him a look. It's just a matter of time for me, Yi Futian said confidently. Then he looked at Hua Fengliu and said, Master, father-in-law, don't you agree? I'll consider it, Hua Fengliu answered indifferently. Yi Futian looked at Hua Fengliu. Master, where do you get an in-law as good as me? You still need to consider. Where's your shame? Tang Lan asked coldly. Everyone stared at this guy, speechless. My masteress is better, Yi Futian said. Then go to your masteress. Tang Lan glared at him. Aunt Tang, I'm just kidding. You're just like my masteress, Yi Futian said weakly. The others were still speechless. He was honestly so shameless. However, with his shamelessness, the group started enjoying the meal like a family. No one discussed what happened at the Donghai Academy. The past was like smoke. Once past, there was no need to bring up again. In the cheery atmosphere, the banquet gradually ended. Everyone went back to their rooms. Yi Futian went to the garden to play his guqin. There were some impurities in his timbre. He was clearly distracted. It's almost the end of the year again. Yi Futian looked up at the full moon. He remembered how the fox had gone to the Yi mansion to find him after the New Year dinner, shocking the entire family. Then they held hands awkwardly by the lake. Without realizing, another year had almost passed. So much had happened in this year. As he reminisced, a smile appeared on his face and there was more emotion in his music. He had pushed the frustrations aside. Under the moon, he hid his longing in his music. The second day, a beautiful figure came to the Guqin Gardens. When Yi Futian saw her, he made a face. Did this fox know that he was missing her? He thought of her last night and now she was here. Why are you looking at me like that? Hua Jiu raised an eyebrow at Yi Futian's weird expression and stared. Yi Futian smiled. Because my fox is so pretty. I'm not yours. Hua Jiu turned away arrogantly. Masteress already betrothed you to me. You can't run now. All we're missing is a wedding, Yi Futian said with a smile. Don't even think about it. Hua Jiu smiled and then ran to the Qin devil behind him, calling, Dad. Jiu, why are you here? The Qin devil asked. Uncle told me about what happened at Donghai Academy. I knew you'd be back here so I came to look, Hua Jiu said. That guy's become agreeable, Yi Futian asked, walking forward. I came to tell you all good news. Hua Jiu smiled sweetly. Yi Futian looked at her with suspicion. The old Nando guy knows that I'm super talented and unmatchable so he agreed to our wedding. Hua Jiu pinched Yi Futian's waist hard because he was so shameless. She said, my mom and I wanted you two to come for New Year's and he agreed. A strange glint flashed past the Chin Devil's eyes, but seeing the two before him, he understood. Nando Tai knew that his disciple and daughter would be more accomplished than him, so now they were trying to resolve grudges. Back in the day, it would be hard to step into Donghai City, let alone the Nando mansion. Yi Futian understood this too. The Nando clan had high expectations and wishes for Jayu. If they didn't want Jayu to hold grudges after she grew up, they couldn't be too cruel for some things. As for him, they couldn't offend him even if they didn't agree on the wedding. Happy. Hua Jayu looked at Yi Futian with a smile. I thought they would agree to our marriage, Yi Futian said, pouting. Say you're happy, Hua Jayu said with a grin. Yi Futian looked at her smile and nodded. Of course I'm happy I can spend the new year with Fox. Hua Jayu's eyes were pleased. Then can I not leave at night? Yi Futian fluttered his lashes. Hua Jayu's smile froze. Looking at him, she raised a slender leg and kicked him for his unhealthy thoughts. I'm thinking of my master. He hasn't seen Mistress in years. You should go discuss this with that old guy, Yi Futian said seriously. That makes sense. Hua Jayu smiled and nodded. Dad can stay but you can't. My wife doesn't listen to me, Yi Futian muttered. What did you say? Hua Jayu glared again. Nothing. I was thinking if we should go to the Imperial City together afterward, Yi Futian said. I'll consider it, Hua Jayu said. Master's health is bad. I'm worried I can't care for him, Yi Futian threatened. Hua Jayu glared. At the side, Hua Fenglio complained, if you want to act lovey-dovey in public, then do it but stop dragging me in. Dad, what are you saying? Hua Jayu blushed. Master, you are so wise, Yi Futian praised. At least his master understood them. Chapter 91 Emperor Luo. Chapter 91. Emperor Luo. In the city of Donghai, Donghai Academy had been turned upside down. The academy was no longer what it once was. Many people left the academy. With their families and their own disciples, even many of the official personnel left. However, there were still those who chose to stay. Year 10,000 of the Divine Prefecture calendar was a year of rebirth. The School of the Emperor Star held the power and the School of the Treasury Star assisted. The time when the 7 schools stood equal was a time of the past now. But no one knew whether this rebirth was going to lead the academy to become more powerful or to its demise. In this year, Donghai Academy was the home of a student who arrived suddenly like a shooting star in the sky. He managed to make himself known to the entire academy in an extremely short time. However, he left the academy along with the headmaster of the Finance Star School and his master, Hua Fenglio, before he spent a full year at the academy. Presently, no one at Donghai Academy could imagine what lied in the future of this young man, who shined so brightly at the academy. However, anyone in the audience during the assembly of the 7 schools would have realized that if the young man had continued at the academy, he would have become someone of extreme importance in the Nando nation. There was no question about this. The new year was nearing, and the Nando nation was filled with a festive air. Many people returned home for the first time in a long time. Every prefecture and every city became lively as they prepared for the new year. Things were no different in the Imperial City. Many people already began to celebrate. Every house was decked out in New Year's decorations. Inside the most magnificent building in the Imperial City, the Imperial Palace, a festive air also existed. Though, in comparison with the outside, the palace still felt cold and uninviting. The aura in the Imperial Palace matched that of the royal family. At this moment, a figure was seated on the throne in a large hall within the Imperial Palace. He wore a crown on his head and a purple and gold robe on his body. He radiated a domineering aura from head to toe. This person was the most powerful man in all of the Nando nation. He was the Emperor, Emperor Luo. Standing in front of him was Minister Zuo. Do you know why I have summoned you today? Emperor Luo asked Minister Zuo. No, Your Majesty. Minister Zuo shook his head. The Crown Prince heard that you bestowed the decree of the minister upon a young man and wanted to see this young man for himself. He even personally went to Donghai City. You really do have a sharp eye. Like always, this young man you found is incredibly gifted, the best of the best, said Emperor Luo. Minister Zuo knew that something was wrong. The Crown Prince personally went all the way to Donghai City just because he found out about a young man that he favored. Indeed, he is a brilliant young man, but isn't it too much for His Highness to go all the way to the city of Donghai for such a thing? Your Majesty should persuade the Crown Prince to not to waste his time on this matter, suggested Minister Zuo. He was trying to alleviate the situation. It seems that he has learned some things from this trip. Maybe it's not so bad for him to travel outside. By the way, how is that young man's fortune? Emperor Luo asked nonchalantly. Your Majesty, you should know that I no longer tell the fortune of others casually. Letting people know of their fortunes may influence their actions and in turn, change their fates. That would be going against the will of the heavens and I will be punished for doing so. Minister Zuo bowed apologetically. What he said was not a complete lie. He did not dare to tell the emperor that he had indeed told Yi Futian's fortune. If his fortune was exposed, it would affect Yi Futian's fate and could result in his fate being changed. That would definitely not be good. This was also the reason why astrologers tended not to live long lives. You rascal have so many excuses. Didn't you say before that it'll be fine as long as we go with the flow? Emperor Luo stood and laughed. Then, what about the young miss of the Nando clan? What does her fortune say? After you return to the imperial city, you seem to be very busy. I know I shouldn't ask but I can't help my curiosity. Minister Zuo's heart clenched. He never thought that his every move was being monitored by the emperor and the crown prince. At the thought of this, he began to regret agreeing to Nando Tai's request of telling Hua Jiayu's fortune. Of course, when he agreed, he never expected her fortune to be so shocking, and he would never have guessed she was related to Yi Futian in any way. Your Majesty, Minister Zuo put his hands together in front of himself and bowed to the emperor. I am grateful to have met you and been allowed to follow under your leadership for all these years. I never dared to slack off and have always done my very best to discover new talent for our nation. Of course, I know all of this, you rascal. Watching Minister Zuo, Emperor Luo couldn't help but shake his head and let out a laugh. At this moment, he did not seem like an emperor but an older brother. Over the years, I have been increasingly cautious in the use of my powers as an astrologer and have explained my reasons for doing so many times. On my most recent trip to the city of Qingzhou, I passed by the East Sea Prefecture and met an interesting young man and also told a fortune for someone. Both of these people are very lucky people and will influence the luck of the nation. This is why I've been busy paving the road for the two, wanting to do something for them, explained Minister Zuo. Emperor Luo lightly nodded his head and smiled. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and have no worries about you. Also, that girl is too naughty, so please be tolerant of her. If she does anything to offend you, don't be afraid to teach her a lesson. There is no need to take it easy on her for my sake. Although the princess is a little willful, her gift and personality are both very good, said Minister Zuo. All right, go on now, said Emperor Luo. He patted Minister Zuo on the shoulder. Minister Zuo put his hands together and started to back out of the hall. Only when he was completely outside did he turn his back to the emperor. Beads of sweat rolled down Minister Zuo's forehead. As an astrologer, he had to act with caution. There were many things he could not say. If he were to expose anything, it would be his demise. For example, Nando Nation's fate or the Crown Prince's fortune. Minister Zuo hoped that his efforts would bring good results. What Minister Zuo didn't know was, after his departure, two people entered the hall. It was Luo Junlin and Minister Hua. Emperor Luo was writing something at his table. While writing, he spoke. Minister Zuo said those two were people of great luck and can change the fate of Nando Nation. If so, then I plan on following his wishes. Minister Hua and the Crown Prince did not say anything. They waited quietly. They knew that Emperor Luo was writing an imperial order. Moments later, he put down his pen. At the wave of his hand, the golden scroll floated towards Minister Hua. Take this, Emperor Luo ordered. Minister Hua reached out to receive the scroll. He took one look at the order and was shocked. His Majesty was indeed the emperor of an entire nation. His order was to allow Minister Zuo to keep his pride but at the same time, get rid of any worries. Even though I believe in astrology, it can't be fully trusted. Fates can be changed but one thing I'm sure cannot be. Under this sky and in the Nando Nation, my will is the will of the heavens, said Emperor Luo. Minister Hua, go take care of this personally. I know that it's already the end of the year, but I'm still going to have to ask you to take this trip. And the Crown Prince, you should stay in the palace and focus on cultivation. One thing that Minister Zuo said was correct. To you, besides the throne, nothing is of importance to you. Yes, father, nodded Luo Junlin. I will hurry to Donghai City, but your majesty, what should I do if someone refuses the imperial order? Asked Minister Hua. I have already asked you to do this personally, is there any need to question further? Asked Emperor Luo. A wave of realization hit Minister Hua. He finally understood what the emperor meant. If it was simply to relay the imperial order, he could have sent anyone. That was the emperor's reason for asking Minister Hua to personally take this trip to Donghai City, to prevent anyone from objecting. Who would dare object the imperial order in the presence of a minister? Under this sky and in the Nando nation, my will is the will of the heavens. The attitude behind these words was already very clear. I will be excused now, said Minister Hua as he bowed to leave. Yi Futian had no idea what was going on in the imperial palace thousands of miles away. There were only 2 days until the end of the year. He still had no idea where his parents were. Were his aunt and uncle doing well? What about Yi Shaoqin and Yi Mo, were they okay? After the year ended, he would be leaving the city of Donghai and headed for the imperial city. His days wandering the world with Hua Jieyu were going to be very interesting. In the courtyard, Yi Futian watched as Yu Sheng and Yi Qingshan stuck to each other like glue. He was hurt. Yu Sheng, he called. Yu Sheng lifted his head with a look of confusion. Cultivate properly. Stop sticking with your girlfriend every day. Yi Futian sounded very serious. Yu Sheng was dumbfounded. Yi Qingshan laughed and said to him, Yu Sheng, someone is being envious because Hua Jieyu isn't here. Yeah, back in Qingzhou City, I cultivated while he and Hua Jieyu were attached at the hip every single day and then they became a couple. Yu Sheng nodded. On the side, Yi Futian stood up after being ignored. You two are awful people. He spun around and left. He arrived at another part of the residence. Not far ahead was a white-haired elder, sweeping the courtyard. Grandpa Yu. Yi Futian stepped forward. The elder lifted his head and smiled. Young Master Yi. Grandpa Yu, it's almost the end of the year, aren't you going home to celebrate? Yi Futian asked. These days he often came to chat with the older male. I don't have a home to return to. The elder shook his head, looking very sad. What do you mean you have no home to return to? Where are you from? Yi Futian continued to ask. I spent some time on an island of the East Sea. You've probably never heard of it before. Then, I ended up here in the city of Donghai. I can't go back there anymore, the elder said, feeling melancholy. Grandpa Yu, at your age you must have experienced a lot. Would you mind sharing some of your stories with me? Yi Futian asked with a smile. What kinds of stories would a person like me have? I spent my life serving others. I used to have a master who treated me very well, then trouble came knocking. But of course, young Master Yi, you treat me very good as well, the elder said to Yi Futian, full of gratitude. Don't mention that, Grandpa Yu, you have to take extra good care of yourself at your age, said Yi Futian. Okay, young Master Yi, you should go about your own business now. You don't have to stay here with this old man, laughed the elder. Alright, then I'll leave now. I will come see you when I have time, Yi Futian said. He turned to leave and his eyes were shifting back and forth as if he were in deep thought. Could it really be his imagination? How come he felt distant but at the same time so familiar every time he got close to the elder? It was so difficult to comprehend these feelings. Chapter 92 A Bolt from the Blue. Chapter 92 A Bolt from the Blue. There were only 2 days left of the divine calendar's first millennium. Donghai City grew more and more festive. Many people were in the Gukan Gardens where Hua Fengliu stayed. Yi Futian, Yu Sheng, Yi Qingshan, Yi Shang, Tang Lan, and Tang Wan. Tomorrow is the last day of the year. After tomorrow, I'll see you all off, Yi Shang said. Why the hurry? Yi Qingshan asked. Haven't you realized that people are watching the Gukan Gardens these days? Yi Shang said. They haven't done anything, so I ignored them, but it's better to be safe than sorry. As the saying goes, the longer the night, the more nightmares you may receive. The school of the Emperor Star definitely held grudges against him and Yi Futian but hadn't made any moves. Perhaps they had their own concerns, but Yi Shang didn't care. The sooner he got Yi Futian to the imperial city, the less he worried. Senior Yi, you are right. Sitting on the side, Hua Fengliu nodded. You get to see her tomorrow. Are you excited? Tang Lan smiled at Hua Fengliu. Last time, Hua Jiu had said that Nando agreed to let Yi Futian and Hua Fengliu spend the new year with Nando Wenyan. It was a concession on the Nando clan's part. No way, I want to be with you all, Hua Fengliu said, laughing. Really? Then let Futian go by himself, Tang Lan smiled and said. Hua Fengliu's expression was a bit awkward. He shot a glance at Yi Futian, seeming to want Yi Futian to help him out. Master, you decide. Yi Futian looked away. He couldn't help his master now. There was no loyalty at times like this. Hua Fengliu glared at Yi Futian. How could his disciple and future son-in-law be like this? Tang Lan, I do want to spend it with Jiu, Hua Fengliu finally said with a wavering smile. Tang Lan smiled thinly and said, fake. With that, she turned around. As she left, she said, I'll have the servants prepare the New Year dinner. We'll celebrate beforehand. We can do that. Yi Futian looked at Tang Lan's back, impressed at her decisive actions. Come here, said a cool voice. Yi Futian turned to see Hua Fengliu smiling at him. He shuddered at the strange smile and walked over to massage Hua Fengliu. Master, how may I help you? How can I ask you for help? Hua Fengliu said coldly. It's my duty to help my master, Yi Futian said earnestly. Oh right. I recognized Masteress as soon as I saw her last time. Only you can win the heart of someone as beautiful as her. Of course, Hua Fengliu smiled proudly. Back in the day, he had so many competitors. The art saint was the strongest one, but he still won. Masteress is so beautiful now. I can't imagine what she looked like before. I'm sure your looks were comparable to mine, Yi Futian continued. Hua Fengliu was honestly impressed at how his student had successfully changed the topic. After a while, the banquet was ready. Everyone chatted and enjoyed the atmosphere. While they were gathered like a family, a group of powerful men descended from the sky outside the Gukan Gardens gate. The leader was the chief of the East Sea Prefecture, Sha Feng. Sha Fan was beside him. They had come with powerful men and a powerful aura. Sha Fan's eyes flashed dangerously. Enter. Sha Feng waved. The group instantly shot into the sky like heavenly soldiers and stepped into the garden. Inside, Yi Shang first felt something wrong. He frowned slightly and looked towards the outside of the garden. Then everyone else followed his gaze. A moment later, they saw the malevolent group appear in the air. Sha Feng, what are you doing? Tang Lan scanned Sha Feng coldly and asked. Sha Feng's eyes glinted coldly. The group landed and walked toward the people enjoying the banquet. Beside him, Sha Fan glared coldly at Yi Futian. This was the lowly figure he once thought of as an ant he could play with, but Yi Futian had almost killed him. Now, the tides had finally turned a bit. Yi Futian looked at Sha Fan with similar coldness, murderous intent flashing past his eyes. Sorry to disturb everyone. I am here today under an order. It is good news, so let me congratulate you first. Sha Feng smiled, but everyone at the banquet frowned. What order was he talking about? He did not interact with the royalty of Nando. How could he receive an order? A bad premonition grew within them. Yi Futian. Sha Feng's gaze fell on Yi Futian. Everyone's eyes turned towards him. Had the emperor given Yi Futian an order? The emperor proclaims that due to the extraordinary talent of Yi Futian of the East Sea Prefecture, he is given the title of study attendant of the Crown Prince. From now on, he will accompany the Crown Prince in his studies and cultivation. Sha Feng smiled at Yi Futian while speaking. That day at Donghai Academy, Yi Futian had rejected the Crown Prince's invitation to be the minister. He could have gone straight to the top, but he did not know what was good for himself. Now, the Crown Prince was probably angered. He had the emperor pass the decree and sent Minister Hua to collect him from Donghai City. What this implied went without saying. Yi Futian had to go. It is not the end of the year yet, Sha Feng continued. His Majesty allows him to wait until the year passes. We will embark on the first day of the new year. Everyone at the banquet stared at him. The study attendant of the Crown Prince was an opportunity that many dreamed of. There was a chance of extreme success. However, it was not a good thing for Yi Futian, especially since he'd just politely rejected the prince. Now, the emperor had sent this direct order without giving any way to back out of it. Yi Futian's eyes flashed. He was angry inside. At the assembly of the 7 schools, the crown prince had asked if he knew the consequences of disobeying the crown's orders. He was not the emperor, but he was the crown prince. The emperor's order was here. For the first time, Yi Futian experienced the power, aggressiveness, and coldness of the crown. There was no respect for him. There was no need to respect him. Minister Zuo had wanted him to attend the Tingfeng banquet in the imperial city. He'd planned on leaving after the new year, but he never thought that a decree would order him to go. The study attendant, Yi Futian, asked coldly. They wanted him to accompany the prince. Right now, he was even wondering if there was still a need to attend the Tingfeng banquet. Minister Zuo had thought so highly of him but had probably not thought of this result. Yi Futian could feel that this was not Minister Zuo's idea. Minister Zuo had been very friendly toward him and would definitely respect his opinion. He would not force him to the imperial city in this way and would definitely not have Sha Feng do it. Got it, Yi Futian said coolly. Sha Feng's eyes sharpened and focused on Yi Futian. This is the emperor's decree. Yi Futian, watch your attitude, Sha Fan said in a frigid tone. The emperor gave me the title of the crown prince's study attendant. He's not punishing me, so what's with your attitude? Yi Futian sat there, staring at Sha Fan. These men had broken into the Gukan Gardens to announce this as if he was a criminal. Sha Feng sneered inwardly. He realized that Yi Futian knew he had angered the crown prince and was being taken forcefully. Minister Hua was the one in charge and Yi Futian obviously knew what this meant. Sha Fan narrowed his eyes and then laughed. He said, very good. I'd like to see how much longer you smile for. I forgot to tell you that Minister Hua is going to the Nando clan today with another decree. The moment he finished, Yi Futian rose. He stared daggers at Sha Fan. What decree? Guess. Sha Fan smiled and said, it's related to your girlfriend. Okay, is this your business? Sha Feng said indifferently. Faced with a group of cold glares, he said, sorry for the disruption. I'll be waiting outside and we'll go as soon as New Year's is over. With that, Sha Feng waved and they sauntered off. Yi Futian and the others stared at the backs of Sha Feng's group. They still had not recovered. The happy atmosphere was completely gone with gray clouds over their heads. Yi Futian and Hua Fenglio were especially unsettled. At the same time that Sha Feng announced the decree, Minister Hua had arrived at the Nando clan. Nando Tai, the clan leader, welcomed him personally. Seeing him, Minister Hua smiled and said, Brother Nando, congratulations. What do you mean? Nando Tai was confused. It is great news. His Majesty has a decree. Is Hua Jiu here? Nando Tai's eyes flashed. He didn't understand why Minister Hua would need Hua Jiu. Was the Emperor's decree related to Jiu? Had Minister Zuo said something to the Emperor? But then why would Minister Hua be here? I'll call her over now, Nando Tai said. No need. I'll go personally, so please bring me to her, Minister Hua said with a smile. Nando Tai was even more confused, but he nodded and said, all right. After you. With that, the group started off and arrived in Nando Wenyan's residence. After hearing the news, she and Hua Jiu came out and stared at the newcomer in confusion. Minister Hua gazed at Hua Jiu and smiled. As expected, you are a beauty. No wonder you have an extraordinary fate. Minister Hua, please enlighten us, Nando Tai said. Had Minister Zuo really said something about her fate? But an astrologer always kept fates a secret, especially one like Jiu's. Nando Tai did not dare publicize it and not even anyone in the clan knew. He was worried that revealing it would affect Jiu's fate. The Emperor has proclaimed Hua Jiu as the crown princess. She will travel the palace in the year 10,001 of the divine calendar for the title ceremony, Minister Hua said. He thought, no wonder the Emperor is the Emperor. With these two decrees, Minister Zuo isn't put in a difficult position, but the fatal problems are solved. Since these two will influence the nation, then give them riches and keep them where they can be easily controlled. If anyone had any objections, he could make a prompt decision. Fates could be changed, but the royal order could not be disobeyed. To Hua Jieyu, this order was like a bolt from the blue. Chapter 93 I am fated to be emperor. Chapter 93 I am fated to be emperor. In a split second, Hua Jieyu felt completely lifeless. Her face was as pale as a ghost. His Majesty had bestowed the title of the Crown Princess upon her. She was to leave on the first day of the new year. Just a moment ago, she was chatting with her mother about the events of tomorrow, when her father and Yi Futian was to come. Then, without warning, she was hit with this news. Nando Wenyan, Nando Tai and the rest were all in shock, unable to recover. Is this fate? Nando Tai asked himself. To be honest, he did not fully comprehend what Minister Zuo meant when he said that Hua Jieyu was fated to be an empress, mother of the world. But now he knew. Minister Zuo meant empress to an emperor, emperor of the Nando nation. No, said Hua Jieyu. She had finally pulled herself out of her daze. Her eyes showed determination as she said to Minister Hua, I refuse. Minister Hua frowned. Nonsense, this is an imperial order from His Majesty. I refuse, Hua Jieyu repeated with a cold demeanor. She was still looking at him. Minister Hua's gaze was sharp as a knife, but the girl standing in front of him showed no fear. Brother Nando, does the Nando clan plan on going against the imperial order? Minister Hua asked. Please forgive her, Minister Hua. She's just being stubborn. Please allow me to talk some sense into her, said Nando Tai. He had a change in expression. The Nando clan was no longer royal. They were in no position to fight against the imperial power. Fine, I'll give you guys 2 days. During these 2 days, I will be staying here, and on the first day of the new year, we will be on our way back to the imperial city, said Minister Hua. As he turned to leave, he sneered. Disobeying the imperial order, who dared to do so in front of Minister Hua? After Nando Tai watched Minister Hua leave, his attention fell on Hua Jieyu. He said, Jieyu, the crown prince was born to become emperor. He is an outstanding young man. He is in his 20s and still unmarried. This tells you a lot about his personality. A chance like this only falls to one person in all of the Nando nation, and now fate has chosen one. You are to become the mother of the world. I don't need fate like this, Hua Jieyu said to Nando Tai. He saw the determination in her eyes and continued to try to persuade her. Jieyu, you're only 17, this thing you have with Yi Futian is only temporary. One day, when you guys are standing at 2 different levels, you'll forget about all this. As long as you agree to this, I'll send people to bring your father into the Nando palace and your family will be united again. Hua Jieyu looked at Nando Tai with ice-cold eyes. I'm not going to agree, and neither will my father. Wenyan, talk some sense into her. Nando Tai looked at Nando Wenyan, who stood behind her daughter. Now that there are bigger benefits for you, you're willing to let him come back. Nando Wenyan sneered at Nando Tai. Do you really think we'll be happy with a family reunion brought by the sacrifice of our daughter? I won't agree to this. Nando Tai's expression did not look good. Coldly, he said, even if you guys object, this is an imperial order. Who can disobey an imperial order? There is still 1 day for you guys to think this over. After that, Nando Tai left with a sunken face. Following immediately after his departure, Hua Jieyu's eyes filled with tears as she turned to look at her mother. Mother, in her voice was a deep melancholy. She seemed so weak at this moment. The usual air that surrounded her was no longer there. My poor child, said Nando Wenyan. She walked up to her daughter and held Hua Jieyu's tear-stained face in her own hands. Her heart hurt to see her child like this. How could both of their lives turn out this way? Why couldn't they be with the person they loved? Nando Wenyan was the one person who could truly understand what Hua Jieyu was feeling at the moment, because she had also been through this. They didn't care for nobility. All they wanted was to be with the one they loved. Just then, a figure came running. It was Nando Wenyan, who had just received the news. Seeing the mother and daughter, his heart was in pain. Hua Jieyu was even more outstanding than her mother. She was destined to be different. Now, she had been given the title of Crown Princess. Was this what Minister Zuo saw in her fortune? Was this her destiny? Mother, I miss him. I want to go see him, Hua Jieyu said while crying. Silly girl, they're not going to let you step outside. Nando Wenyan shook her head. She had been through all of this before. But Hua Jieyu did not seem to have heard her mother's words. She turned around and attempted to leave. However, at this moment, multiple figures appeared in the courtyard. They were all powerful cultivators of the Nando clan. His Majesty's imperial order has fallen upon the Nando clan, but Hua Jieyu objected. In a situation like this, how could they let her leave? Even if the people of the clan didn't stop her, Minister Hua would have. There was no way she was stepping foot outside of Nando Palace. Hua Jieyu looked at the figures in the courtyard and her gaze cooled. She then turned and returned to her residence. Jieyu, sometimes people just can't fight fate, sighed Nando Wenchen. He was also sad. In this situation, there was no solution and no way to fight it. This time, it was even harder to fight than with Nando Wenyan's situation all those years ago. The rival back then was just the Art Saint. Even though the Nando clan wanted to create a connection to Minister Hua, who was related to the Art Saint, the clan still held the power of nobilities due to their background, and there was not an absolute need to set Nando Wenyan up with the Art Saint to acquire power. And because of this, the Art Saint had no right to come and demand Nando Wenyan to marry him. But things were different now. Now, it was the title of Crown Princess. His Majesty wrote the imperial order himself. Nobody, in all of the Nando nation, could deny the order. No, I've said before, I don't believe in fate. Hua Jieyu looked at her uncle and shook her head. I'm not going to the imperial palace, and I'm not going to be the crown princess. Not now, not ever. Jieyu, don't think that way. Nando Wenshen's expression changed. Hua Jieyu was way too determined, to the point that Nando Wenshen was afraid. If Hua Jieyu wanted to deny the imperial order, there was only one way. He was not willing to see her go down that road. Uncle, can you stop by the Gukan Gardens for me? Hua Jieyu did not respond to her uncle's previous utterance. Instead, she made a request, tears streaming down her face. What do you want? Asked Nando Wenshen. Can you tell him not to come tomorrow? Just tell him that the clan won't allow it. Her voice was filled with sadness. Her tears could not be stopped as she spoke. Of course, she wished for him to come, but she knew, deep down, there was no way of denying the imperial order. If he came, it would only put him in danger. She did not wish for anything to happen to Yi Futian. What if he finds out what happened? Asked Nando Wenshen. Then tell him that I have no feelings for him anymore and that I want to be the crown princess. Tell him to forget about me and never look for me again, said Hua Jieyu. The tears continued to stream down her face and her own words cut into her heart like knives. Hearing her words, Nando Wenshen also felt pained. His heart clenched for his niece. Are you sure that's what you want to tell him? He asked. Hua Jieyu nodded her head in response. Okay. Nando Wenshen nodded as well. I'll head over now. He then turned to leave. Watching him leave, Hua Jieyu crouched down on the ground. Her arms hugged her knees as she cried her eyes out. Nando Wenyan did not know when it happened, but her tears were filled with tears as well. She walked beside Hua Jieyu and hugged her lightly. Mother, I don't know why, but my heart really hurts, Hua Jieyu said. Her tone was heartbreaking to listen to. Mother's heart is also in pain. Nando Wenyan hated herself for being so useless. Mother, if anything happens to me, you have to take care of yourself, said Hua Jieyu. Silly girl. Nando Wenyan's heart squeezed at Hua Jieyu's words, but she had no idea how to comfort her daughter. She herself has had this type of thought countless times, but she had Hua Jieyu, she had a child with the man she loved. At the Gukan Gardens, Yi Futian was feeling confused after hearing Sha Fan's words. The happy atmosphere at the residence had been ruined. They were no longer worried about Yi Futian becoming the crown prince's study attendant. They were more worried about what type of order had fallen upon the Nando clan. Yi Futian had initially wanted to go check things out at the Nando palace, but was stopped by Yi Shang and Tang Wan. They had yet to straighten things out, and Sha Feng was still watching from the outside. If Yi Futian stepped outside, it could be dangerous for him. Tang Wan ordered her first disciple, Ni Bing, to check outside while they waited inside. But before Ni Bing returned, Nando Wenchen arrived at the Gukan Gardens. Yi Futian rushed to Nando Wenchen immediately. His eyes were frozen on the elder male. "What happened here?" asked Nando Wenchen. He had seen the obvious group of people outside. "His Majesty gave an imperial order. He wants me to be the Crown Prince's study attendant," answered Yi Futian. Nando Wenchen's face fell. This young couple, Yi Futian, was bestowed with the title of the Crown Prince's study attendant while Hua Jieyu was going to be the Crown Princess. To outsiders, this might have seemed like a good thing, but anyone who knew of Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian's relationship knew that this was a calamity. "Where's Jieyu?" Yi Futian was looking straight at Nando Wenchen. "Jieyu wanted me to bring you a message," said Nando Wenchen. "What is it?" asked Yi Futian. "She says she no longer has feelings for you and that she wants to be the Crown Princess, so you should forget about her and never look for her again," Nando Wenchen said while staring into the young man's eyes. He felt so cruel, but he understood why Hua Jieyu would say such hurtful things to Yi Futian. Yi Futian felt like he was hit by lightning. He was frozen in place, not because of the cruel words but because of the meaning behind them. In an instant, he figured out what the imperial order for the Nando clan was. "Dummy!" Yi Futian opened his mouth after a long while. Nando Wenchen was dumbfounded. Then, he watched as the young man lifted his head towards himself. With red eyes, Yi Futian said, "Did she really think that I would believe those words? Does that dummy think I'm an idiot?" Nando Wenchen was speechless. "Uncle, tell me, how is she doing now?" asked Yi Futian. Nando Wenchen's heart clenched when Yi Futian called him that. He said, "I'm really worried about her. She said that she will never step foot in the imperial palace and will never become the crown princess." "Never. Of course not. She's mine," Yi Futian continued. "Why would that idiot of an emperor give such an order?" "I don't know the specifics, but there is one thing I can tell you," said Nando Wenchen. "Minister Zuo once told Jieyu's fortune. He said she was fated to be an empress. Maybe he told the emperor. This must be her destiny." "Minister Zuo, empress." Yi Futian looked at Nando Wenchen. "Minister Zuo is an astrologer." "Yeah," nodded Nando Wenchen. At this moment, a lot of things suddenly became clear to Yi Futian. "You're wrong. Minister Zuo won't tell the emperor," said Yi Futian. Nando Wenchen lifted his head to look at Yi Futian, confused. "If Fox is fated to be empress, then that means Minister Zuo must have looked at my fortune as well," Yi Futian said in all seriousness. "If she is fated to be empress, then I am fated to be emperor." Chapter 94 A Group of Idiots. Chapter 94 A Group of Idiots. Nando Wenchen looked at Yi Futian. This guy was talented, but saying he was fated to be an emperor was a bit too much. However, he didn't doubt it. Minister Zuo had given Yi Futian the minister decree and probably had really tested Yi Futian's fate. It meant that he couldn't have an average fate. Looking at the handsome figure before him, Nando Wenchen said, "No matter what, do not go to the Nando clan tomorrow. If it's truly as you said, that Minister Zuo didn't tell the emperor, then there's more to the fact that he sent Minister Hua. If you object, he will definitely not treat you nicely. Uncle, if I have the fate of an emperor and don't mind what happened before, will Nando support me?" Yi Futian asked instead of replying to what Nando Wenchen said. The Nando clan was the previous royalty after all. They had strong foundations and were established in Donghai City. If they could abandon everything of Nando Kingdom, they might be able to change the situation and fight with Minister Hua. This guy, Nando Wenchen looked at Yi Futian. It seemed that the youth had lost his cool. It was the emperor's decree for Minister Hua to come and give the title of crown princess. Yi Futian was only 17. No matter how talented he was, it didn't mean anything. The crown prince was more talented. There wasn't even a need to choose. How could Yi Futian prove that he had an emperor's fate? You have to think clearly and not muddle your mind. Would you like me to pass a word on to Jieyu? I'm afraid she'll do something silly, Nando Wenchen said. Uncle, tell that silly girl to not do anything silly and wait for me. Minister Zuo was right. She has the fate of an empress and is destined to be the mother of the world, Yi Futian said. He trusted Minister Zuo's prediction because his godfather and Emperor Yi Qing had said similar things before. Okay, Nando Wenchen sighed inwardly. He glanced at Hua Fengliu again but left without saying anything more. It had seemed that everything was improving. The clan leader had agreed for Nando Wenyan and Hua Jieyu to come to the Gukan Gardens, but the decree had changed everything. In the garden, everyone stood behind Yi Futian. They didn't know what to say and couldn't comfort him. The mood was repressive. Yi Futian turned. Seeing all the eyes on him, he forced a smile and said, "What are you all looking at me for? It's getting late. Go rest." To Hua Fengliu, he said, "Master, let's go back." He carried Hua Fengliu toward his own yard. Yi Shang looked at their receding backs and sighed inwardly. He had planned on taking this group of extremely talented youths to the imperial city tomorrow for the Tingfang banquet. With Yi Futian and Yu Sheng's skills, they could definitely surpass the others. They also had Minister Zuo's help and would have a smooth path to becoming the best of the kingdom. But this decree had destroyed everything, Minister Zuo's anticipations and their plans. Yi Futian had just called His Majesty of Nando the Idiot King. His mood was clear. Even though he was only 17, the man was not the king in his eyes. The study attendant of the crown prince. In a few years, he might become more impressive than the prince. Now, he was only worried that he would die young. Just as Yi Futian had guessed, even though Yi Shang had accepted Yu Sheng as his disciple, he also saw Yi Futian as a disciple but treated them differently. Otherwise, he wouldn't help Yi Futian so much. At night, there was music in the garden. Yi Futian sat there, playing his gukan. There was a breeze and it was quite cold, but Yi Futian's heart was even colder. He played with his eyes closed. At this moment, he thought of many happy memories. A beautiful face appeared in his mind. She was so beautiful but also playful. They had met for the first time when they were 12. The 12-year-old girl already had shocking looks. He said that if she was like this at 12, she'd become a fox when she grew up. At 1-5, they met again in the Qingzhou Academy. The girl purposely lied to everyone so they would have misunderstandings, making him gain a bunch of enemies. Later, he cultivated with his master. They had months of interactions and play, almost like flirting in hindsight. A warm smile appeared on his face. Later, the girl went to the Yi mansion, shocking everyone there. The two then joined hands by the Qingzhou Lake to announce their relationship. Then, they separated. After that, something happened in Qingzhou City. He crossed the East Sea and caused a commotion in Donghai Academy so she would know he was there. They met again in the Gukan Gardens and the girl hugged him gently. The two were in love but didn't dare to publicize it until the school of the Emperor Star started suspecting it. When Mu Yongshuan spread the rumors, he walked into the school of the Emperor Star. He marked their relationship with a kiss, leading to the battle at the gate of the school. They held hands and smiled, facing the future fearlessly. In the school of the Finance Star, the two slept in each other's arms. The girl was shy but did not stop him. He knew that she was willing to give him everything. He swore in his heart that he would marry her. However, no one expected that fate was a joke. The imperial city's order was so aggressive and merciless, it destroyed everything. The music went from heartwarming to sweet. It seemed to contain deep emotions and gradually grew depressed, furious, and hateful, wishing to cut apart the world. With a clang, the string snapped and the music cut off. Yi Futian opened his eyes. He looked at the broken string. His eyes were still sharp. When he looked up, he saw the old man with a broom under the moonlight. The violence in his eyes disappeared. He asked, "Grandpa Yu, why aren't you resting?" "I was attracted by your music," the old man said with a smile. "Young master, your music is a bit chaotic today. Did something happen?" Yi Futian glanced at him and felt something affectionate. He said, "Grandpa Yu, someone wants to steal the girl I love." "How can someone dare to steal young Master Yi's girl?" the man asked in confusion. "The Emperor of Nando. He ordered my girl to become the crown princess," Yi Futian said. "Grandpa Yu, what should I do? If she's your girl, steal her back. So what if he's the emperor?" Yu said naturally. Hearing his calm voice, Yi Futian's eyes narrowed. The old man's eyes were cloudy but he seemed to feel nothing wrong with the logic. Yi Futian smiled brightly. "Grandpa Yu, you're right. If she's my girl, so what if he's the emperor?" "Young Master Yi, Please rest early. I'll go now. The old man stooped low and left. Looking at his back, Yi Futian's smile grew determined. The night was as still as water. Yi Futian didn't sleep the entire night. Later, a black wind eagle landed soundlessly in the garden. Yi Futian climbed onto it and wind appeared. The eagle flapped its wings and flew. However, the moment the black wind eagle shot into the sky, a figure appeared out of thin air and blocked him. It was Yi Shang. Where are you sneaking off to at night? Are you a thief? A cold voice sounded behind him. Yi Futian turned to see Tang Lan there. Senior Yi, Aunt Tang. Yi Futian smiled wryly. It seemed that everyone was guarding him instead of sleeping. People appeared one after another down below. Yu Sheng, Yi Qingshan, and Tang Wan were all there, looking up at him. They had guessed he would run away alone. Whatever you want to do, talk about it after tonight, Yi Shang said coldly. Yi Futian knew he couldn't leave now. He just nodded and had the eagle land on the ground. Then he went to his room to rest. The others watched him without leaving. They sat in the garden, guarding him. It was the last day of year 10,000 of the divine calendar. In the morning, Yi Futian walked out of his room and saw the people sitting in the courtyard. It made him feel warm inside. These people were all part of his family. Master, you're up so early too, Yi Futian said, walking to Hua Fengliu who was on the bench. Aren't we going to see your masteress and Jieyu today? I'm excited so I woke up early, Hua Fengliu said with a smile. You're not allowed to go, Tang Lan said, glaring at Hua Fengliu. She's right, Master, you shouldn't go because of your body. I'll bring Masteress and Jieyu here, Yi Futian said. If you dare leave me behind, you can go find another teacher, Hua Fengliu said with a glare. Fine, as if I need you, Yi Futian replied. Everyone listened as they argued but it felt bittersweet. Hua Fengliu stared at Yi Futian and said, try me. Aunt Tang, please help me look after him. He's already like this but he's still conceited, Yi Futian said to Tang Lan, almost harshly. You're really going? Yi Shang asked Yi Futian. The youth nodded. He had no choice. If he didn't go, there was no saying what that silly girl would do. No matter what the ending was like, he had to go try. Otherwise, he wouldn't admit defeat. What are you looking at me like that for? Yi Futian said, smiling as he looked at everyone. I have an emperor's fate. I won't die so easily and I'm going to bring Masteress and Fox here. Yu Sheng followed him and Yi Qingshan followed Yu Sheng. What are you doing? Yi Futian asked Yu Sheng. Going with you, he replied. I'm going to see my wife. What are you going for? Your wife is behind you, Yi Futian said but Yu Sheng didn't move. Get the FCK back. Yi Futian yelled. Yu Sheng didn't move. Yu Sheng, come back, Yi Shang said to his disciple. Yu Sheng looked back. I'm going with him, Yi Shang said. Yu Sheng's eyes were red and his fists were clenched tightly. Yi Futian looked up at Yi Shang, saying, I'm not your disciple. What are you going for? You're an idiot, Yi Shang replied coldly. Yi Futian froze. Looking at the man, he finally smiled and said, you're the real idiot. As he spoke, he started walking out. Yi Shang followed behind him, but not without glaring at Yu Sheng and Yi Qingshan. Be obedient, Tang Lan, watch them for me. Tang Lan's eyes were red too. Seeing the two leave, she muttered, you're all idiots. Chapter 95 Stir Up Some Trouble. Chapter 95. Stir Up Some Trouble. The last day of the Divine Prefecture calendar year 10,000 did not seem like it was going to be a peaceful day. The news of Yi Futian being ordered to become the Crown Prince's study attendant and Hua Jieyu to be the Crown Princess hit Donghai Academy like a storm. Everybody was in shock. Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian were once the most well-known couple on campus, as well as the most gifted. They were a match made in heaven, but with one imperial order from the imperial city, the young couple was destined for a sad ending. Nobody thought that they could go against the imperial order. The only thing left to do was to go where fate takes you. Yi Futian had once rejected the Crown Prince's offer but now, there was no way out. This was the power of royalty. But of course, if Yi Futian just gave in, he would have the opportunity to climb up the power ladder. However, according to what the people of Donghai Academy knew about Yi Futian, there was no way he would give in. Otherwise, he would not have rejected the crown prince's offer during the assembly of the 7 schools. At the school of the Emperor Star, many people were gathered. Headmaster Yan Xiao, his disciple, Zhou Qing, Vice Headmaster Han Mo, as well as other officials, were all present. "Where are Headmaster and the rest going?" asked a student watching the group from afar. "I heard they're going to the Nando Palace to congratulate Hua Jieyu for being chosen as the crown princess," said a knowledgeable student. At the mention of Hua Jieyu's name, many people were feeling conflicted. The young woman once cultivated at the school of the Emperor Star. She was a goddess to many, the girl of their dreams. She was outstanding and beautiful, but, in the end, she betrayed their school. And now, she was going to be the crown princess and the empress in the future. From now on, they were only worthy of looking up at her. Perhaps only a perfect girl like her was worthy of all this. As for Yi Futian, it was bound to be a tragedy. The large group from the school of the Emperor Star set off for the Nando Palace. The people of Donghai Academy were not the only ones who knew of these new developments. The news has spread like wildfire all through the city of Donghai. Many powerful people who found out about the news all headed over to the palace to congratulate the Nando clan on this last day before the new year. The clan was already powerful because they had a royal background, but now, one of their younger members had been bestowed the title of the crown princess. This was the perfect chance to establish a great relationship with the clan. Plus, Minister Hua was also at the palace. The Nando clan, the used-to-be royal family, had become the main focus of everyone once again. Today was definitely not going to be a quiet day. Just as Yi Shang and Yi Futian stepped out of the Gukan Gardens, Sha Feng, Sha Fan, and their people surrounded the two of them. Sha Feng asked Yi Futian, "Where are you going?" "Does His Majesty's imperial order also include restricting my freedom?" asked Yi Futian. "Obviously not, but we're heading to the imperial city tomorrow, so it's best for you not to go running about." Sha Feng smiled. Yi Futian gave him an icy glance, then picked up his feet to leave. Sha Fan smiled and asked, "Can't keep yourself from seeing your lover?" Yi Futian stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Sha Fan. Sha Fan was giving him an evil smile and said, "That's all in the past now. She's going to be the crown princess. You better keep yourself in check and know your place. If you keep having these thoughts, I'm afraid." Sha Fan laughed but did not continue. The mocking look in his eyes became more obvious. He was provoking Yi Futian on purpose. He actually hoped that Yi Futian would cause a ruckus by disobeying the imperial order. This way, it would be a dead end for him. Literally, no one was going to be able to save him. Yi Futian suddenly gave Sha Fan a smile before walking towards him. Sha Fan watched Yi Futian as he neared. The smug look on his face grew. Did Yi Futian think he was still the genius cultivator that Minister Zuo favored? Things were different now. Only bad things were waiting for Yi Futian. The crown prince obviously had it out for him. Yi Futian stopped in front of Sha Fan with a charming, bright smile. He then took out the decree of the minister and showed it to Sha Fan. "Do you know what this is?" The look on Sha Fan's face changed a little. Was Yi Futian really threatening him with the decree of the minister at a time like this? Just then, Yi Futian acted at the speed of light. His fist landed right on Sha Fan's face. Because Sha Fan had no time to react, to defend himself, he was knocked down to the ground, face first. "How presumptuous!" yelled Sha Feng. The powerful cultivators came in closer. Yi Shang also came closer behind Yi Futian. His aura was domineering and his long robe blew in the wind. "Even if he doesn't know what this is, you should know, right?" Yi Futian held the decree of the minister up for Sha Feng to see. "I was bestowed the title of the Crown Prince's study attendant by His Majesty and give this decree by Minister Zuo. To insult me in public, is that dissatisfaction with the emperor, or is he looking down on Minister Zuo?" Sha Feng's expression darkened at Yi Futian's words. However, he did not dare to lay a hand on Yi Futian. Even though Yi Futian was most likely going to end up being very pitiful, there was nothing wrong with what he said. Sha Fan crawled off the ground, blood in the corners of his mouth. A bruise had already formed on his face. He threw Yi Futian a murderous look as he continued to stare. However, he made no moves to get revenge. Instead, He smiled a creepy smile and said, "You're right, my actions were too rash. I apologize." Sha Fan believed that Yi Futian would be dead soon. He'll allow him to be arrogant for a little longer. He would take the punch. Yi Futian saw the creepy smile on Sha Fan's face and returned it with a cold, icy glare. He did nothing to hide his murderous intentions. Turning around, Yi Futian was on his way again. "Follow," ordered Sha Feng when he saw Yi Shang and Yi Futian leaving. A large group following obnoxiously after the two and headed in the direction of the Nando Palace altogether. This day was not a quiet one for the Nando clan. People kept arriving with congratulatory words. The guests were all powerful people of Donghai City. The large palace was filled with guests for the first time in a long time. At this scene, the people of the clan felt as if they have recovered their glory. Many people were very excited at this and imagined the clan's bright future. The only thing giving the clan a headache was Hua Jiayu's attitude. She still seemed to be very put off by this situation. Many people in the clan could not understand. Was this because of Yi Futian? Everyone knew who to choose between a gifted young man and a gifted crown prince. Why was she still stuck on Yi Futian? It was all because she was still too young. Hua Jiayu was still at the age that her imaginations were more important than reality. At this moment, outside the palace, a black winged eagle landed on the ground. Two figures got off of the eagle. It was Yi Shang and Yi Futian. When Yi Futian saw how lively the palace was, his heart clenched. The two of them stepped to the entrance of the palace. There stood two powerful members of the Nando clan. They had been welcoming guests. Their face fell as soon as they saw Yi Futian. Coldly, they asked, "What are you doing here?" Presently, he was the one person that the whole clan dreaded seeing the most. "I came to look for my mistress and my girlfriend." "Didn't the clan already agree to it?" asked Yi Futian. "Nonsense. There is no one here that can be your girlfriend," a middle-aged man reprimanded. How dare Yi Futian called Hua Jiayu his girlfriend now that she was given the title of the crown princess. "You'll see whether or not my girlfriend is here if you let me in." Yi Futian tried to take a step forward but was blocked by multiple bodies. Yi Shang stood behind Yi Futian, exuding a powerful aura. The powerful cultivators of the Nando clan looked at him with different expressions from before. "I think you guys should go and announce his arrival," said Yi Shang. The leader of the group blocking Yi Futian looked at Yin Shang. Then he gave a command to someone behind him, and that person ran into the palace. Yi Futian and Yi Shang stood quietly outside the entrance of the palace. Inside the palace, Nando Tai had set up a huge celebration to receive Minister Hua and the guests. At the party, every table was full and laughter filled the air. Everyone was getting along well and more arrived. Just then, a person came running and whispered in Nando Tai's ear. Whatever this person told him caused a change in his facial expression. "What's wrong, brother Nando?" Beside Nando Tai, Minister Hua quickly picked up the vibe that something was wrong. "It's nothing, brother Hua. I will take care of it," Nando Tai answered with a smile. It was as if truly there was nothing wrong. "If he's here, then let him in," said Minister Hua. Yi Futian came at the perfect time. Something flashed through Nando Tai's eyes and he nodded as he told his subordinate what to do. "Let him in." "Yes, clan leader," said the messenger. Minister Hua picked up his cup for a quick drink, his eyes cold. To dare to show up at a setting like this today, Yi Futian must not be able to let things go. If so, he was going to learn the consequences of being young and stubborn. Death was the only result of defying an imperial order. This was probably part of the reason why Emperor Luo sent Minister Hua. Very quickly, everyone in the clan knew of Yi Futian's arrival. Outside the palace, Yi Futian received his reply. The members of the clan led the way. Yi Futian looked into the spacious palace and turned to Yi Shang beside him. "Senior, if anything happens, just leave. Forget about me." "Can you shut up?" reprimanded Yi Shang. Yi Futian did not know what to say and shut his mouth. Taking a step forward, Yi Futian stepped into the Nando Palace for the second time. Following the main road in the middle, people kept appearing on the sides. They were all glaring at Yi Futian with rage. There were even those who spoke up to tell him off. "Jiayu is already the crown princess, how dare you still come here?" You didn't even dare to fight last time. How can you be so thick-skinned and show up here again? Similar insults were continuously thrown at Yi Futian. Suddenly, Yi Futian stopped in his tracks. Staring straight ahead, he said, "A family of fallen royals, kicked off the throne. To be proud of marrying into the new royal family instead of being ashamed. I can't believe the Nando family clan has fallen so low. How pitiful. What did you say?" At Yi Futian's words, a lot of people stepped up, giving off a murderous vibe. "I said that Nando family clan doesn't know what pride is. I didn't want to battle last time because I wanted to leave you guys with your pride, but since you guys are all so shameless anyway, then today I will let the Nando clan know just how inferior you guys are," said Yi Futian. Afterward, a pair of beautiful golden wings appeared. The bright rock spirit was released behind Yi Futian. Then, he was lifted into the sky. An immensely bright light formed by the gathering of spiritual chi shined all over his body. Yi Futian, 6-starred glory plane cultivator, challenges everyone in the Nando clan who is in or below the Dharma plane, he said. The Yi Futian at this moment possessed such a powerful aura. He was going to release his full potential. Chapter 96 Tragic Melting Palm. Chapter 96 Tragic Melting Palm. Yi Futian's words were like a bolt of lightning. It transformed into a terrifying sound wave that swept through the Nando clan. Various seniors stepped out, glaring furiously at Yi Futian as if they had been utterly humiliated. "Presumptuous. You don't know your place. You're looking for death." The voices kept coming. Yi Futian, 6-star glory plane, dared to challenge everyone in the Nando clan under the Dharma plane. What did he take the Nando clan for? They had once been the royal clan. Though they had fallen now, they still had a strong base and were at least the tip of the pyramid in Donghai City. But Yi Futian had spoken as if they were nothing. This was unacceptable. The older generation all stared daggers at him. This kid was too wild. Did he think that no one dared to touch him because he had the minister's decree? If Yi Futian dared to do anything today, he could be counted as dead already. If not for some concerns, some wanted to wipe him out of existence, but they would leave that to Minister Hua. Ju already hated the Nando clan. If they killed Yi Futian too, there would be no reconciliation between them. Though they couldn't kill him, they would still make life difficult for him since he said something so blasphemous. "I am a 7-star glory plane. I'm enough to exterminate you." A younger member of the Nando clan jumped out. A wind element robe was wrapped around his body and he flashed with golden light. He held a golden spear in his hands. As soon as he spoke, he sprang towards Yi Futian like lightning. The golden spear spun, releasing a golden glow. Unstoppable power brewed in it and it was about to reach Yi Futian. Green spiritual chi glowed around Yi Futian. The wood element lock of 1,000 vines was released with rustles. They covered the sky and went to enclose the opponent. The Nando clan member roared, but he didn't dodge it. He had a higher cultivation than Yi Futian and also had the extremely powerful metal element battle techniques. He would not fear Yi Futian. The spinning golden spear cut through everything. Many vines were destroyed, but Yi Futian's lock of 1,000 vines was too sturdy. The man quickly realized that his spear couldn't keep up with the speed of the vines coming. The vines quickly wrapped around him. Then, the thick vines tied him down. His legs, arms, and neck were all tied tightly. The vines cut into his wrist and his spear fell from his hands. His neck was strangled, turning his face beet red. He couldn't move at all, immobilized in midair. Yi Futian stood before him. His wings flapped with a gold halo around him. His eyes were so sharp. "I don't want to fight any more failures like this." Yi Futian flashed and his wings swept over, slapping the man to the ground. Then Yi Futian continued forward arrogantly. A 7-star glory plane man had been defeated by one blow. He couldn't even break through Yi Futian's one spell. Yi Futian continued forward, reducing the Nando clan to nothing in his eyes. In the near distance, Yi Shang strolled behind him. Of course, he understood that Yi Futian barely had any chances of surviving here today, but the youth didn't want to give up. What would he do to win a shred of hope for himself? More and more powerful members of the Nando clan gathered around him. Another figure sprang into the air. It was Nando Mu, another genius of the clan. He was at the 8th star glory plane and was extremely strong. Nando Mu had heard of Yi Futian's records in Donghai Academy. He knew that the youth had defeated those over the 8th star glory plane. Therefore, he didn't underestimate Yi Futian. He released his life spirit, a dazzling sword. With a sword as his life spirit, he was covered in horribly strong intent of the sword. He could slice through anything before him and nothing could stop him. Nando Mu was a powerful swordsman in training. Sorcery was his supplement. When he grasped the sword, it seemed that he was the only one left in the world. He flashed, and countless afterimages appeared in the sky. It was as if he was everywhere. Yi Futian couldn't distinguish between them at all. The lock of 1,000 vines swept toward one direction. Nando Mu's pupils constricted. The afterimages disappeared and his true body appeared. Was his enhanced agility ineffective before Yi Futian? He had been seen through so easily. Seeing the vines come at him, he pulled his sword out. There was only one sword, but there seemed to be countless ones in the air. There were various snicks and snaps. The vines were cut apart crazily. Nando Mu's attacks and speed were both much faster than the first opponent. When the endless vines swept toward him, the sword life spirit seemed to hum. As if he was surrounded by a ring of sharp swords, the intent of the sword flew out and cut the vines. After that, the thousands of swords became one and seemed to become a truly sharp blade behind Nando Mu. It shot out directly towards Yi Futian. In that instant, everything else melted away. The sword's radiance was enough to destroy everything. As expected of Nando Mu, all members of the Nando clan stared sharply at the battleground in the sky. Nando Mu was one of the top younger members of the clan and he lived up to expectations. This sword would definitely defeat Yi Futian. Countless gazes fell on Yi Futian. He stood there without moving, watching the dazzling sword come at him. Boom! Everyone saw a blinding fireball explode around Yi Futian. For that moment, his already brilliant golden body was covered by flames. They burned his body, releasing a scalding fiery red glow like the sun. The fire element. When the crowd saw this, their pupils constricted. Then they saw Yi Futian reach out. There seemed to be a furnace in his hands that could melt everything in the world. It's the tragic melting palm. Behind Yi Futian, something flashed through Yi Zhang's eyes. This was a battle technique from his practice room. It was a fire element technique with extreme explosive force. The cultivation requirements were very strict. The basic requirement was cultivation of both martial arts and sorcery. One also needed enough fire element power. If only semi-cultivated, it was very weak, but once one fully cultivated this technique, it was terrifying. It was also developmental and wasn't restricted to a certain plane. Yi Shang didn't know Yi Futian had learned this technique. It was his first time seeing Yi Futian use it. Now, he was thinking how many secrets this guy really had. Perhaps he could see a glimpse today. He'd already guessed what Yi Futian wanted to do. Now, Yi Futian shone like the sun. His body had turned into a furnace too. When Nando Mu approached him, he could feel the destructive force that wanted to burn his body to ashes. His sword life spirit screamed. The intent of the sword was shocking. With one strike, he could defeat thousands of spells. Now, it stabbed towards Yi Futian. Yi Futian reached out his hands. It was like a scary furnace had appeared. He grasped the sword directly. Under Nando Mu's shocked stare, his sword melted bit by bit until it disappeared. A gust of shocking heat appeared. If Nando Mu continued forward, his body would end up like his sword. How could flesh be compared to a sharp blade? As a skilled man, he was able to stop his charging body. He abandoned his sword and retreated, but it was too late. Yi Futian's wings flashed and his body turned into lightning. Reaching out, he clasped his palms of fire on Nando Mu's neck. Then his wings flapped and Yi Futian descended quickly. He raised his hand and slammed Nando Mu to the ground while he shot into the sky again like a golden streak of lightning. The powerful figures of Nando clan watched as Nando Mu writhed on the ground. He was covered in burns and had been injured gravely. Someone covered with light took him away. More people stared up at Yi Futian with uncomfortable expressions. Yi Futian was so powerful that even someone like Nando Mu was crushed, completely not at his level. If this was the case, the Nando clan would have a hard time finding someone in the 8th star glory plane to fight with him one-on-one. It may work with a 9-star glory plane genius. Where do you get your arrogance from as a fallen clan? Yi Futian said coldly as he advanced. The Nando clan was so humiliated but they couldn't refute him. Seeing Yi Futian advance step by step toward the location of their banquet, a senior said, "Take him down. I don't want to see him take another step." They hadn't expected Yi Futian would be so powerful. If he was allowed to reach the banquet, it would be a disgrace to the clan. Today, there were many big figures of Donghai City at the banquet, including Minister Hua. Hua Jieyu, a member of the clan, was now the crown princess. It was a moment of glory with no time for disturbances. Countless figures came out, some shot to the sky, others gathered their spells on the ground. The spiritual chi went crazy in the air. Since Yi Futian wanted to fight everyone under the Dharma plane of the Nando clan, they would satisfy him. After they take Yi Futian down, it would still be embarrassing but it was better than being defeated by him one by one. Yi Futian was now surrounded by powerful figures. However, he continued forward as if he didn't see anything. Countless spells were released at once, exploding with shocking might. Spells of various schools swept towards Yi Futian as one. In an instant, the youth was attacked by all these spells but he continued strolling in the air, seeming even more elegant. Chapter 97 Shock. Chapter 97. Shock. Yi Futian floated arrogantly in the air. His body was illuminated by both the golden light and the light given off by the flames. Yi Futian shined bright like the sun. The attack spells continued to charge at Yi Futian, but every time they got close, they were destroyed by the flames. His body acted as a giant furnace. This was the frightening point of the palm of melting sadness. In order to cultivate the palm of melting sadness, one needed to cultivate both martial arts and sorcery. They must gather endless amounts of fire spiritual chi to join with the fire spiritual chi within themselves. This would cultivate the body in a fearsome burning furnace, ready to incinerate all in its way. And when the powers erupted, the flames would gather in the palm. If others were struck by the palm, they would be directly cremated into ashes. If Yi Futian hadn't gone easy on Nando Mu, he would have been dead, ceasing to exist. When the members of the Nando clan saw the attacks thrown at Yi Futian being destroyed, the expressions on their faces darkened. What type of battle technique was this? It was just too powerful. They knew ordinary spells were no use on Yi Futian. Whether it be martial arts cultivators or sorcerers, anyone within the 8-starred glory plane was a piece of cake to Yi Futian. More clan members gathered. They all knew of the insulting words Yi Futian said but all they could do was watch as other members fell victim to his wrath. Just then, a golden rod, formed by spiritual chi, appeared in Yi Futian's hand. The wings on his back fluttered and carried him off like a giant rock at an incredible speed. A sorcerer was casting a spell in the direction Yi Futian was headed in. Upon seeing Yi Futian, who was charging straight for him, the sorcerer turned away hurriedly. However, with the help of wind sorcery, the rock spirit, and his rock form, Yi Futian was unbelievably fast. His rod smashed down on the sorcerer's shoulder. A loud, crisp sound was heard. It sounded like the crushing of bones. Following that, the sorcerer's body began to fall from the skies, smashing harshly onto the ground. A giant thunder bird flew towards Yi Futian. The giant bird enveloped by the lightning was ready to attack Yi Futian. Yi Futian's golden rod danced in the air around him, nothing could get through to him. The rod then slipped past the curtain of lightning surrounding the giant thunder bird then destroyed it. In the next moment, Yi Futian descended on the sorcerer who had cast the spell and with one smash, this sorcerer ended like the last. He let out a loud scream and his body was thrown off to the side. Another 3 figures charged at Yi Futian simultaneously. Their bodies were surrounded by wind sorcery. They used the power of the wind to get close to Yi Futian and barricade him between the 3 of them. Then, the 3 cultivators all released their powers to attack Yi Futian at the same time. There was a sharp halberd aimed for his heart. There was a storm of punches of beast-like strength. Every punch thrown was accompanied by a beastly growl, like that of a lion or tiger. There was also an attack of frost, ready to encapsulate everything in a thick layer of ice. The frightening ice storm moved towards Yi Futian as if it was prepared to bury him in ice. All 3 of these men were either just martial arts cultivators or cultivators of both martial arts and sorcery. 2 of them were in the 8-starred glory plane and 1 in the 7-starred glory plane. This group of power cultivators ganged up against Yi Futian. The golden rod danced in the air while the aura around Yi Futian became stronger. The wings on his back carried him around. In the blink of an eye and without any hesitation, Yi Futian attacked with the rod quickly. Bang, bang, bang. 3 bodies were struck by the rod and thrown back. The 3 cultivators spat up blood in midair. Yi Futian did not stop moving. The golden rock moved quickly and landed on the floor. 2 more people screamed out in pain as the golden rod landed on their bodies. In a flash, Yi Futian charged at another person. Before Yi Futian could even get close, the person attempted to make a run for it, but with a single swipe of the rod, his body was thrown into the air. Following this, the body surrounded by golden light continued to attack. Inside the Nando Palace, people were being thrown left and right or were smashed into the ground. The whole palace was filled with blood-curdling screams. Countless members of the clan had fallen. It was complete chaos. A strange sight was happening at the Nando Palace. A 6-starred glory plane cultivator was walking through the palace, and following on both sides of this young man were powerful cultivators in higher planes. However, they could only follow. No one dared to fight him. Even sorcerers were reluctant to cast attack spells on him from afar because people had tried to do so earlier and were all defeated by the golden rod. Yi Futian continued to advance as members of the Nando clan followed beside him. The looks on their faces were serious but also filled with embarrassment. They finally knew just how scary Yi Futian was. The elders of the clan had darkened expressions. They couldn't believe that they were going to allow Yi Futian to continue into the palace. No one was able to stop him. One of the elders tried to make a move for Yi Futian but stopped when Yi Shang spoke up from behind Yi Futian. He said, "The Nando clan used to be royalty, you guys should stop now and save your pride. It would be truly humiliating if an elder made a move in this situation." Yi Futian had only challenged members of the clan within the Dharma plane. More of the younger clan members had gathered after hearing about the news. Many of them were outstanding cultivators, but they were all shocked by the scene in front of them. Yi Futian had challenged everyone within the Dharma plane but defeated everyone with such ease. This was too humiliating. Furthermore, if they did not stop him now, Yi Futian would soon make his way to the party venue. Just then, a figure blocked Yi Futian's path. He was strong and powerful, a 9-starred glory plane cultivator. "Stop right there," he said. Immediately after he had spoken, Yi Futian charged forward. He did not want to waste his breath on this guy. Unfaltering, the cultivator let out a scream. Spiritual chi collected for a spell. A golden rounded gear spun quickly, cutting into the air, headed towards Yi Futian. The sharp gear was able to attack from all directions. It was able to block the light of the sun with its large size. If struck with the gear, the body would definitely be cut up into pieces. Boom! Yi Futian put one foot forward, his power building up from within. He swung the golden rod down once, and the large gear in his way was destroyed. Yi Futian charged toward his opponent at the speed of light only to see that he had formed an even bigger gear with spiritual chi. An ear-splitting sound rang out as the gear spun. It was as if the gear could cut through thin air. Seeing that Yi Futian was racing toward himself at full speed, the cultivator sent the giant gear spinning towards Yi Futian with a wave of his hand. Boom! Another swing. The golden rod struck down on the gear, splitting it apart just as it had to the last. Yi Futian continued to advance. The 9-starred glory plane had a completely different expression on his face now. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something as he looked at Yi Futian. However, Yi Futian had no time to waste on him. He swung the rod and threw the cultivator to the side. It was as easy as stepping on an ant. A 9-starred glory plane cultivator was no different from the rest. One swing from the golden rod and they were all defeated. Many members of the Nando clan were shaking in their shoes. The 9-starred glory plane cultivator who was just defeated was a rather well-known member of the Nando clan, but even he was unable to stop Yi Futian. Yi Futian sped up, his golden wings spread out to carry him away. "Stop him!" someone screamed in rage. However, Yi Futian was no longer going to stay and fight. As he advanced, the golden rod never stopped moving. People were sent flying all along the way. Finally, the party venue could be seen just up ahead. Many partygoers shifted their attention to Yi Futian. Nando Tai and a group of the most powerful cultivators of the Nando clan did not know what to do. However, the guests seemed excited to see Yi Futian. He truly was powerful. During Donghai Academy's assembly of the 7 schools, everyone was left with a deep impression of Yi Futian. They were so taken with that one piece he played, the world. Now, he has broken into the Nando Palace, destroying all that got in his way, just like a young war god. Such a pity, many of the guests thought to themselves. This brilliant young man was going to end up dead because he chose to break into the Nando Palace and defy the imperial order. Minister Hua held his wine glass and murderous look filled his eyes. It seemed like someone was seeking death, but this was all within his expectations. At this time, 2 people appeared amongst the group of Nando clan members. It was Hua Jieyu and Nando Wenyan. Hua Jieyu's eyes were trained on the young man headed her way. Tears rolled down her face, her heart in pain. Yi Futian floated in the air in front of the main stage of the venue. He looked towards the person seated up in the main seat and then turned to look at Hua Jieyu. The iciness in his eyes melted again and he smiled. "Fox, I'm here." "Dummy," said Hua Jieyu as she cried. Minister Hua had come all this way with the imperial order from the emperor. It was obviously ill-intended. If they tried to defy the order, Minister Hua would definitely not hesitate to kill the both of them. "Restrain him," ordered Nando Tai. Many of the most capable younger clan members rushed out and headed for Yi Futian. Then, the regular young clan members also followed suit. They did not look impressed. How could the others allow Yi Futian to make his way all the way here to the venue? Boom! There was an explosion of spiritual chi in the vicinity. The humiliated members of the Nando clan all released their powers, flooding the venue with an overwhelming storm of spiritual chi. Right now, all cultivators in the Dharma Plain and below were prepared to gang up on Yi Futian. They were fully enraged now. Noises sounded as a wood elemental spell was cast on Yi Futian, the lock of 1,000 vines. Vines came from all directions while other attacks from different elemental sorcery rushed toward Yi Futian as well. Boom! A flash of lightning hit Yi Futian. In an instant, his body was bathed in the bright light. Meanwhile, his surrounding turned dark and stormy. "Thunder raid," said Yi Futian. The world around him was full of lightning and thunder. Then, thunder sorcery descended from the sky, striking the crowd down below. The element of thunder. Everyone was shocked as they watched Yi Futian intently. Whoosh! Yi Futian was now covered in flames. Fire dragons appeared and revolved around Yi Futian. Next, they all roared loudly and came rushing down. The elemental of fire. This was another surprise for onlookers. Winding of 1,000 silk strains. Metal sorcery was released formed into endless strains of golden silk strains, cutting through the air. Weight of earth, Yi Futian spoke once again. The area began to fill with earth's spiritual chi. A heavy force pushed down on everyone. This type of gravity spell was too scary. It restrained everyone's movements. Those high-level officials were frozen with the wine glasses still in their hands as they stared at Yi Futian. He was a full attribute sorcerer. Chapter 98 Reappearance of the Emperor. Chapter 98 Reappearance of the Emperor. The people at the banquet were all the big figures of Donghai City, but they were unsettled by youth. Countless days ago, they had gone to watch the assembly of the 7 schools, attended by the Crown Prince and Minister Hua. Yi Futian, the disciple of the Qin Devil, had cleared the name of his master. He had dedicated the song hero to his master and used the world to display his emperor's intent. The students from the school of the Emperor Star who stepped onto the battleground all knelt down to him. He was so brilliant that the Crown Prince wanted to make him minister, but Yi Futian refused. Countless days later, a decree had fallen upon Donghai City, cutting off the youth's future. They all understood the meaning behind this. There seemed to be only one path waiting for the youth who refused to obey. Even if he agreed to go to the imperial city, the ending would still be the same. Today, Yi Futian forced his way into the Nando clan. He shone brightly, brighter than he had in Donghai Academy. Right now, spiritual chi of various elements wrapped around him. Spells of different schools exploded, instantly defeating countless younger members of the Nando clan. He was also a musical sorcerer with the elemental talent he revealed now. He was clearly a one-in-a-century full-attribute sorcerer. Minister Hua narrowed his eyes, his murderous intent intensifying. It seemed that the Crown Prince's guess was logical. Minister Zuo had seen something early on, which meant that he must kill Yi Futian today to remove the threat. Nando Tai's shuddered inwardly too. Yi Futian's talent was the same as Hua Jieyu. In fact, Jieyu's talent relied more on spirit elemental to guide the other elements, but Yi Futian was different. His full attribute nature was balanced and powerful. The various elemental spells he cast were the best evidence. The power of each spell was way above what was typical of his plane. This meant his elemental strength was very strong, and this applied to every element. The strong of Donghai Academy shuddered too. Han Mo and Zhou Qing all stared at Yi Futian. It seemed that they still didn't witness Yi Futian's full power at the earlier battle. Was this all of his talent now? Even Zhou Qing was a bit jealous. Yi Shang still stood quietly behind Yi Futian. His heart trembled too. Was this really Yi Futian? The shameless and playful guy had hidden such world-shaking talent. He should have risen to the top, but now he was stuck in the shallow water, struggling in Donghai City. An order from the king forced him into a state of despair. Hua Jieyu kept looking at Yi Futian. Her teary eyes were unblinking and her gaze grew more and more resolute. She took a step, wanting to go to Yi Futian, but Nando Ku stopped her. "Miss," he said, "don't make it hard for me." Hua Jieyu looked coldly at the figure. She no longer had any feelings for this family the moment the Nando clan accepted the decree. She looked away from Nando Ku to Yi Futian. Her eyes were so gentle. If they were not fated to be together in this life, they would go to the afterlife together. At this moment, Yi Futian was in the eye of the storm. As he cast his spells, those with weak cultivation could not withstand the wildness. Many were hit and it was chaos. Yi Futian raised the golden staff again. He twirled it in the air and a tremendous power descended, seeming to break apart the sky. When attacks came, afterimages of the staff appeared all around him. It blocked all attacks outside. Finally, he moved, rushing at a 9-star glory plane sorcerer. He moved and performed the first of the 9 heavenly attacks, Genesis. It swept everything down. The spells coming at him were destroyed directly. The sorcerer was shocked and then he was swept by the staff, crashing into the others. Yi Futian didn't stop at all. His wings flapped and he appeared elsewhere. The winding of 1,000 silk strains and the lock of 1,000 vines unfurled. Next was the second of the 9 heavenly attacks. It swept everything before him. Countless bodies were sent flying in all directions. The Nando clan watched all this, their insides clenching. The younger generation of their family was defeated so easily by Yi Futian. Were they really that weak? Yi Futian had been this wild at the Donghai Academy, but at that time, he didn't release the terrifying talent like today. Of course, some powerful 9-star glory plane figures continued to pursue Yi Futian. Many spells broke through the attacks and defenses, falling upon Yi Futian. He shook as well, but it seemed as if he was invincible and kept fighting crazily. Zhou Qing, go, Yan Xiao, headmaster of the School of the Emperor Star, said. Zhou Qing's eyes flashed. He nodded and rose, heading toward the battlefield. He'd wanted to teach Yi Futian a lesson and was once confident he could defeat the youth. But now, Yi Futian had become so strong. He wasn't that confident anymore. Now, Yi Futian's abilities were too shocking. Zhou Qing stepped toward the battleground. Seeming to notice him, Yi Futian's wildly fighting body suddenly stopped. Defeated figures were scattered on the ground around him. He welcomed Zhou Qing with a cold gaze. Hoisting his staff, he walked toward the other. At that moment, a shocking aura appeared around Zhou Qing. His eyes became demonic and a spiritual wave pierced into Yi Futian's eyes. Yi Futian felt like he was taken over by a demon. His steps faltered as if it was hard to continue. His hand even twitched involuntarily. It was like Zhou Qing was about to control his body. His ability was very strange. You guys go, Zhou Qing said. Countless men at the pinnacle of the glory plane acted at once, attacking Yi Futian. At the same time, Yi Futian radiated with similarly powerful spiritual strength. He stepped forward and his power intensified again. He twirled his golden staff and it flew out, spinning around him. It defeated the spells coming at him and stopped the incoming enemies. However, the golden staff also extinguished. Zhou Qing continued forward. His power intensified again, his spiritual power becoming more terrifying. Earlier, I performed the world at the school of the Emperor Star. Today, I will perform it again for the Nando clan, Yi Futian said nonchalantly. As he finished speaking, a dazzling light appeared behind him. Countless music notes danced in the air. The shadow of a Gukan appeared behind him. His life spirit, everyone's heart trembled. They saw how beautiful the golden rock was behind Yi Futian. The Gukan life spirit hovered above him. Crack! Nando Tai's hand clenched and broke the cup in his hand. He was clearly shaken. He had 2 life spirits. He was a full attribute genius with twin spirits. Luo Junlin, Crown Prince of Nando Kingdom, was known to be born to become king. His talent was twin spirits, but he didn't have the full attribute. Now, Yi Futian showed that he had this talent and no one could beat him in the Nando Kingdom. The gazes of the big figures were fixated on him. Their insides twisted and they felt numb. It was shocking that there was someone as accomplished as him in Donghai City. The people of Donghai Academy were even more shaken. They stared at Yi Futian. This person had once cultivated in the academy, but sadly, he chose the school of the finance star. Nando Wenshan stood with his sister Nando Wenyan, behind Hua Jieyu. Seeing Yi Futian like this, he suddenly remembered how Yi Futian once said, "She's the empress and I'm the emperor." Will this be true? Nando Wenyan watched the boy's extreme talent with teary eyes. This scene was so similar to Hua Fengliu's struggle years ago. Today, it was the man Jieyu loved and he was so much more impressive than his master. He was fighting against the ruler of the Nando Kingdom as if fighting against destiny. Yi Futian ignored the shaken people. He sat down with crossed legs. His Gukan life spirit floated before him. It seemed intangible, but when he strummed the strings, music was produced. That moment, it felt like he was at the peak of his life. He was alone, above the world like an emperor. The civilians could not meet his eyes, they could only bow down to him. This time, Yi Futian's performance was even wilder than at Donghai Academy. His shocking spiritual storm enveloped him under the support of his life spirit, shattering Zhou Qing's attack. Zhou Qing was livid. His spiritual strength was unable to pass through the storm. Even more terrifying, Yi Futian's music kept streaming into his ears. The spiritual storm was spreading too. As if the emperor's intent had descended, it wanted to plant the emperor's mark in his mind to make him submit to Yi Futian. The strong men around Yi Futian all saw many scenes in their minds. When they looked at Yi Futian, they no longer saw an ordinary boy. Instead, he was a young emperor. He sat there, waiting for them to bow down. The emperor's intent. Everyone focused on Yi Futian because the emperor's intent had appeared in Yi Futian again. He wanted the whole world under him. Last time at Donghai Academy, he had played the world for the crown prince. Today, he was playing for himself. Who was the emperor? Who ruled the world? The weaker ones of the Nando clan really prostrated themselves. They were influenced by the music and couldn't fight back. The stronger ones retreated, fleeing the battleground. Zhou Qing's face darkened and retreated as well. Only the youth remained in the area, unmatched. Minister Hua set his wine glass down. The will to kill burned in his eyes. This boy must be killed. The music stopped gradually. Yi Futian raised his head and looked in the direction of Nando Tai. "You know Hua Jieyu's fate," he said. "Then what is my fate?" Chapter 99 Nando Tai's Decision. Chapter 99. Nando Tai's Decision. Nando Tai's heart pounded loudly at Yi Futian's question. If Hua Jieyu was fated to be empress, then what was Yi Futian fated to be? He had twin spirits and was a full attribute sorcerer. His power in both martial arts and sorcery were also invincible. Don't even mention same plane cultivators. As a 6-starred glory plane cultivator, Yi Futian was even able to defeat those in the Dharma plane. There was probably no one else in all of Nando Nation that would be able to do what Yi Futian could. Minister Zuo had looked into Yi Futian's fortune, so what was his fate? Nando Tai had previously questioned why Minister Zuo would give Yi Futian the decree of the minister, but after the shocking scene he witnessed today, Nando Tai knew there was a meaningful story behind this. If you're willing to believe me, I am willing to let go of the past. When the day comes that I take over the throne, the Nando clan will regain its glory and be granted royal authority once again, said Yi Futian. After hearing his speech, Minister Zuo jumped up from his seat. His murderous intent stronger than ever before. Yi Futian talked about the day he would take over the throne. His words were arrogant and an act of treason. Not only did he want to defy the imperial order, Yi Futian also planned on overthrowing the royal family. The citizens of the city of Donghai were dumbfounded. The 17-year-old young man had said such a preposterous thing. However, with the gifts he demonstrated, what he said was definitely possible. That is if he wasn't killed before that day came. Yi Futian revealed his gifts, his identity as a full attribute sorcerer, his twin spirits, and his determination to be emperor through his peace, the world, all to prove a point to Nando Tai. Yi Futian knew that as he was now, he had no power to go against the will of the emperor. He could only accept what fate had in store for him. He also knew that once he arrived at the imperial city, only death awaited him. He could not accept this and decided to fight against it to the best of his abilities. The result of that was everything that had happened today. All he wanted was for Nando Tai to see him, for the clan to see him. When Yi Futian had spoken, Yi Shang was standing next to him. He knew that what Yi Futian said was no longer a simple defiance of the will of the emperor. There was no way that Minister Hua would let him go. Yi Futian's words caused Nando Tai to waver. It was hard to imagine that the man who controlled the whole Nando clan would be rendered speechless twice by a single young man. The Nando family has already fallen, and the younger generation is only mediocre. The clan gets by solely on the title of, used to be royals and are overjoyed because of a marriage ordered by the emperor. If people didn't know, they would have thought that you guys were so happy because you regained royal authority. In reality, the clan is weak like ants. How do you plan on regaining your glory? By relying on Ju. Even if she did as you said, don't you think she'll hate the clan for it? Asked Yi Futian when he saw Nando Tai wavering. Nando Tai couldn't help but turn his attention to Hua Ju. Hua Ju looked cold and aloof. Naturally, Nando Tai knew that everything Yi Futian had said was true. But he also knew that if he acknowledged Yi Futian's words, it would only mean one thing: treason. Ever since the Nando family clan stepped down from the throne, they had always acted with caution. They were afraid to do anything that may cause suspicion from the new royal family. They did not want to be wiped from history by the Luo family. When they received the news that Hua Ju was bestowed the title of Crown Princess, the clan saw a glimmer of hope. The clan would no longer need to live walking on eggshells. If they were to commit treason for Yi Futian, they would need to be 100% sure of their decision. Even though it was possible for them to regain royal power through Yi Futian, if anything were to go wrong along the way, their entire clan would be doomed. I don't know about your fate, neither do I want to know. Minister Zuo bestowed you with the decree of the minister, and so the emperor put trust in you and gave you the honor of becoming the crown prince's subordinate, but you are being ungrateful. You are publicly defying the imperial order and even have these treacherous thoughts. If so, then your life should come to an end today, said Minister Hua. He was ready to rid the world of Yi Futian. This was Yi Futian's death sentence. Minister Hua turned his attention to Nando Tai and said, "Brother Nando, don't waste any more time on him. Since this is your palace, your jurisdiction, you should be in charge of ending his life. His Majesty will be able to see your resolution from your actions." It was obvious that Minister Hua also had no idea of Yi Futian's gifts. His purpose of telling Nando Tai to let Yi Futian in was to see him defy the imperial order. This way, there was no need to bring him back to the imperial city, they could kill him on the spot. Even though his fate would be the same even in the imperial city, Minister Zuo was there. So, it was because to get things taken care of here to prevent any change in plans. But today, Yi Futian has actually swayed Nando Tai. From this point, it was easy to tell just how gifted Yi Futian was. Nando Tai had probably already guessed the fortune that Minister told for Yi Futian. He was fated to do extraordinary things. Nando Tai saw Minister Hua staring and knew that he was forcing him to make a decision. The Nando clan was rooted in the city of Donghai and was deeply rooted in society, but this time, Minister Hua had brought his people with him. The Emperor Star School officials who now controlled all of Donghai Academy were also here. Plus, Sha Feng and his people were waiting outside the palace as well. Even if they really wanted to revolt, their chances at victory weren't big. Many people of the Nando clan would have to die for the cause, and they might have to be on the run from the royal family in the future. Was all of this worth it for the words of one teenager? Even if Nando Tai agreed to revolt with Yi Futian, what would happen if Yi Futian got killed in the end anyway? Uncle, with Futian and Jayu's gifts, we definitely have a lot to look forward to in the future. All we have to do is ensure their safe escape from the Nando nation today. Or else, even if we send Jayu into the Imperial Palace, she'll continue to hate the clan and we will never regain our glory, said a voice in Nando Tai's head. It was Nando Wenshin using spiritual energy to communicate with him. This way, no one could listen in on their conversation. The people of Emperor Star School put down their wine glasses, seemingly preparing for battle. If Nando Tai really decided to revolt, then they would kill Yi Futian and Hua Jayu first. Getting rid of these two would spare future troubles. If Nando decided not to revolt, then things would be much easier. They wouldn't even have to make a move. Brother Nando, are you wavering? Asked Minister Hua in a cold demeanor. He was putting pressure on Nando Tai. Nando Tai observed Minister Hua and his people. He knew that if he had any strange actions, those people who attack immediately. Yi Futian has gone against the will of the emperor and deserves to die, Nando Tai said, looking resolute. Kill him. Finally, Nando Tai has made his decision. He could not afford to place the entire Nando clan on the line for Yi Futian. Nando Tai knew that after he gave this order, he was going to lose a lot, but he has already run out of choices. Minister Hua was pressuring him. The only other option was to revolt. Yi Futian has demonstrated just how powerful he was today, so killing him would be sparing future troubles. Nando Tai had to make this choice even if Hua Jayu was going to hate him for it. All of this was Yi Futian's fault. If he knew what was good for him, then he shouldn't have come today. Then, Nando Tai wouldn't have to be the one to order his death. That responsibility would have fallen on Minister Hua. Everyone present let out a sigh for Yi Futian. In the end, he had lost. Nando Tai had decided to kill Yi Futian and not bet the future of the Nando clan on him. Hua Jayu, Nando Wenyan, and Nando Wenshin gave a look of disappointment. They were very disappointed. Hatred filled Hua Jayu's beautiful eyes. However, Yi Futian let out a sudden laugh while looking at Nando Tai. He had really failed in the end. He couldn't get Nando Tai on his side. You idiot, are you happy now that you've lost? Yi Shang reprimanded Yi Futian in a lower voice. The planning lies with the man and the outcome with the heavens. How would I know if I don't try, said Yi Futian. He was very calm. To Yi Shang he said, if you already know that I'm an idiot, why aren't you leaving? Maybe I'm also an idiot, answered Yi Shang. He stepped up to stand in front of Yi Futian. Yi Futian looked at Yi Zhang's back and felt a warm feeling in his heart. Just then, a group of powerful cultivators from the Nando clan stepped up, all giving off a murderous aura. This time around, it wasn't only younger members of the Dharma plane. Do you want to revolt as well? Minister Hua eyed Yi Shang with a murderous look. Just as Yi Shang was about to speak, Yi Futian stepped out in front of him. Yi Futian pulled on his arm and said, it's enough that you stayed with me until now. I will take care of my own business. I don't need you butting in. I want you to leave. Since you guys are already here, then you should all stay, said Minister Hua. Brother Nando, I'll leave them both to you. Nando Tai nodded and stepped up personally. A forceful aura was released as he charged toward Yi Shang and Yi Futian. Boom! Every step Nando Tai took shook the ground beneath. To be able to control the entire Nando clan, one could only imagine just how powerful he was. A single step was sufficient to scare people away. Looks like you'll have to wish yourself the best of luck, said Yi Shang. Then, he raced forward. His entire body exuded a wild force of power. Nando Tai came at Yi Shang with his palm. From his palm, radiated a large golden handprint, prepared to crush everything. Yi Shang sped up and held out his fist. His fist landed on the large golden handprint and a large gust of wind washed over the entire venue. All the tables were flipped while the plates and cups crashed onto the ground. A storm started in between the two. Headmaster Yi Shang of the School of the Finance Star is actually able to go against Nando Tai. Many people were surprised. However, the ending was probably going to be just as they expected. In front of Yi Futian, the group of cultivators came closer. He glanced over at Yi Shang. He knew that even though Yi Shang could manage to battle with Nando Tai, Yi Shang was probably going to lose in the end. Yi Futian lifted his head to look at the sky. Still looking up, he said, "I know you hoped that I could take care of everything by myself. I've tried my best, but I'm afraid I've let you down." Yi Futian knew that his godfather was watching over him. The conversation from last night, "So what if he's the emperor? Of course, you have to take her back," as well as the elder's tone. It brought him back to the Yi family house back in the city of Qingzhou. His godfather had spoken to him just like that before. Yi Futian's senses were very sensitive. There was no mistake, Grandpa Yu was his godfather. Since his godfather told him to come, then he was definitely watching from somewhere. But Yi Futian understood that his godfather could not reveal himself just yet. Senior Snow Ape was a great example. Since Yi Futian was related to Emperor Yi Qing somehow, then his godfather must be linked to him as well. He could not casually expose himself. Therefore, Yi Futian had revealed all his powers in hopes of getting the Nando clan on his side, so he would have someone to help him, but it was no use. They had chosen to kill him. But now, he didn't know what to do anymore. If his godfather did not appear now, then both Yi Futian and Yi Shang would be in great danger. Chapter 100 The Last Song. Chapter 100 The Last Song. Many people looked at Yi Futian with shock. Who was he talking to? Was someone secretly helping Yi Futian? Minister Hua frowned as well. He looked into the sky but there were no changes. The strong men before Yi Futian were confused as well. Was this guy scaring them? Did he think he could still live? Looking up, Yi Futian saw that nothing was happening but he still didn't doubt anything. He believed his gut feeling and judgment. Would his godfather not come out if he didn't die? Rustles sounded and vines snaked towards Yi Futian. It was the lock of 1,000 vines at the Dharma rank. It covered the sky and was much stronger than his own spell. Yi Futian's wings flashed, dodging like a streak of gold lightning. However, the terribly thick vines hurled at him. With a smack, he was hit and fell directly toward the ground. Not only was the opponent at the Dharma rank, he was also at an extremely high plane. How could Yi Futian fight against him? No, Hua Jieyu cried. She and Nando Wenyan, behind her, tried to go forward but were blocked by all the strong fighters. You'll regret this. Eyes filled with tears, Hua Jieyu glared at the Nando clan resolutely. Jieyu, we don't want to do this either. The Nando members sighed inwardly, thinking of how much of AB***starred Minister Hua was. He made them do the dirty work. Yi Futian climbed up but a demon charged at him. With a boom, he was forced down again. Even though his physical body was strong, he still spat out blood instantly. The rustles sounded again. The lock of 1,000 vines wrapped around Yi Futian, rolling him up. At the same time in another direction, a terrifying spiritual storm surrounded Hua Jieyu. Her long black hair flew in the wind and her clothes fluttered. Her spiritual chi was released and slowly solidified. Yi Futian was immobilized in the air. The dagger-like thorns were aimed at him. There seemed to be only one path waiting for him. Stop, a frigid voice said. Jieyu. No, someone cried. Many looked over and saw the same wood elemental spiritual chi gather into a wooden thorn. Controlling them, Hua Jieyu stabbed it into her heart. Blood stained her clothing instantly. The attendees of the banquet had already stood up. When they saw this, their hearts clenched. This beautiful girl was so resolute. The Nando clan looked at Hua Jieyu, their insides twisting. She had just been made the crown princess and their clan had found a shred of their glory from yesteryear. If Hua Jieyu died, everything would fall apart. I will die. Hua Jieyu stared at the strong fighter who had captured Yi Futian. The dagger-like thorn moved in her body but she didn't seem to feel anything. She just let the blood stream out. The Nando member was forced to set Yi Futian down. Now, Yi Futian was dazed. His heart twisted painfully as if the dagger was stabbed into his own heart. Hua Jieyu started walking toward Yi Futian, step by step. The Nando clan tried to stop her, but Hua Jieyu glared at them. Get out! Seeing the blade still buried in her heart, the Nando clan trembled inwardly. No one stopped her. Yi Futian, also shaking, walked toward Hua Jieyu. The two lovers walked toward each other step by step as if no one could stop them. Hua Jieyu gazed at Yi Futian. Her eyes no longer had any sadness or pain. Now, they were brilliant as if she was at her most beautiful age, blooming with the most perfect smile. But seeing this beauty, Yi Futian only felt pain. Idiot, why did you do this? Yi Futian's trembling body walked to Hua Jieyu. He reached out and wiped away her tears. The dagger in her heart transformed into spiritual chi and disappeared. She gazed at Yi Futian and smiled. You're an idiot too. With that, she leaned against Yi Futian's body lightly. You still haven't hugged me like a bride, she said gently. Hearing her voice, tears pricked at Yi Futian's eyes. He murmured, I'll do it now like you're my bride. He lifted Hua Jieyu bridal style. She smiled so brightly. If I really die, I want to die in your arms. Her voice was still gentle. Okay. Yi Futian nodded. Hua Jieyu smiled and closed her eyes. Embraced by him so quietly was soothing. Yi Futian looked at the serene beauty in his arms with extremely gentle eyes. Then, the moment he raised his head, his eyes turned red. Why? He roared at the heavens. Everyone thought he was roaring at fate. Seeing the two figures, many felt it was tragic. They were only 17 and loved each other so much they would rather die than surrender to fate. Nando Wenyan's tears rolled down without stop, like a kite with a broken string. Her heart hurt, but she didn't disturb Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. Nando Wenyan was in pain too, but he couldn't change anything. He was powerless and he had a family. Yi Futian looked at Nando Tai and asked coldly, Are you satisfied? Nando Tai was chilled. He had underestimated Yi Futian's determination, as well as Hua Jieyu's. However, not everything in the world could be predicted. If he could turn back time, he would make the same decision. As the leader of the Nando clan, everything was done in the best interest of the clan. He didn't regret it, but he was still sad. There was no more hope for a crown princess. Their most successful younger member would be lost forever. Since they want to die, just let them, Minister Hua said coldly. He saw Hua Jieyu's attitude, and it was not only him. Everyone here had seen it. Despite being crown princess, she wanted to be with Yi Futian even in death. Therefore, there was no reason to bring her to the imperial city. Nando Tai gazed at Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. Decisiveness flashed past his eyes. He knew that things could never be fixed from the moment Hua Jieyu stabbed herself. If I were you, I would object, Yi Shang said coolly, retreating to Yi Futian's side. Even if Hua Jieyu becomes empress, do you think the Luo royalty will allow the Nando clan to rise? You see a chance for timely help, but dream of returning to your past glory without any sacrifices. All you can do is dream. No wonder the Nando clan is falling. Nando Tai, you have no boldness at all. Ignoring him, Nando Tai walked forward and ordered coldly, kill. With that utterance, every member of the Nando clan shook inwardly. This time, not only Yi Futian would be killed. It also included Hua Jieyu, the most talented woman of their clan. Their hope had been on her, so their feelings now went without saying. At this time, there was a long cry in the sky. Everyone looked up and saw a beast had appeared. It was a crane, diving downward. An elder clad in white sat atop the crane. He was covered in white and extremely old. He sat peacefully on the crane until it landed within the Nando clan. Seeing the old man, Yi Futian was shocked. Grand Master, he called out, why are you here? While in the school of the Emperor Star, I heard some sounds and was worried, so I came to take a look. I didn't expect it to be like this. I came too late. Seeing how Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu were now, he was sad. Back in the day, his disciple Hua Fengliu had gone through something similar. Now, his two grand disciples were the same. Grand Master, Hua Jieyu opened her eyes. Seeing the elder, her eyes reddened. He was so old and yet had come personally because he was worried. Senior, long time no see, Minister Hua said, squinting at the elder. Elder Qin looked at him and sighed. Do you have to make such a big deal over two youngsters? Senior, This is the Emperor's order, Minister Hua said. What is the meaning behind your arrival? To take them away, of course, Elder Qin said calmly. Minister Hua scoffed. Senior, you couldn't win against me before. Why do you think you can take them away today? Elder Qin, Minister Hua, and the headmaster of the school of the Emperor Star all had the same master. Elder Qin was the eldest, but Minister Hua was the most talented. That was why he could become minister and be trusted by Emperor Luo. Yes, you are more talented than I, but you are obsessed with power, Elder Qin said. Every gain comes with a loss. Since you pursue power, your cultivation will take a blow. Senior, would you like to try? At your age, you should be resting peacefully. I think it would be better if you don't try. Minister Hua stepped forward. Elder Qin didn't like to compete with others, and Minister Hua didn't like that. Before, he had invited Elder Qin to come out of his hermit lifestyle but was rejected. If he had been willing to ally with Yan Xiao, Donghai Academy would have long been controlled by the school of the Emperor Star. That was why Minister Hua never liked this senior, even though he had higher status and always stayed in the school. But if he still didn't know his place today, Minister Hua would kill him without any concern. Come, Elder Qin said. Yi Futian knew he was speaking to him. Holding Hua Jiu, he jumped onto the crane. Wenyan. Elder Qin gazed at Nando Wenyan. Her body flashed and she was on the crane as well, beside Yi Futian and Hua Jiu. Glowing, Yi Shang hovered in the sky beside the crane. Minister Hua waved his hand. Instantly, Headmaster Yan Xiao and Vice Headmaster Han Mo of the School of the Emperor Star all moved, surrounding the crane. Nando Tai moved as well. Today, there was no way back. He couldn't let Yi Futian and the others leave alive. Futian, Elder Qin said slowly, sitting atop the crane, I will teach you one last song today.